again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out, 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 I can help you out. Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no wonder why, ain't no one to ride to. Here we go again. Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our clouds when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin and I'm all soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. And I'll be running, possessed by a low, low voodoo. Fired up like a wolf on a full moon. And we're stuck in a line.
Hello, all you quackers and quackettes, and welcome to Season 7, Week 4 of the Quack and Smite League. As always, we are starting with the Shallows Division. We got a great matchup tonight between the Legion and the Mighty Horns. This very well could be for first place in the division. My name is Raptor, and joining me, as always, is the wonderful Uchi. Uchi, how are you feeling tonight?
Okay, just had some wisdom tea taken out Wednesday, but I'm doing pretty good, and I'm here. Let's get this stuff started, man. I think this is gonna be a huge set for the Shallows division.
It really is, and we're starting off quick. Like, these teams, they knew going in what they wanted to pick and ban against each other, as we are already on to the picks. Going through the bans, we have Khepri, Ganesh, and Ravana on the side of the Legion, and then Yamoja, Hades, Guan on the side of the Mighty Horns. Not very many bans, outside of the meta, but I am curious about this Ravana ban. Why do we see it?
I feel that's a target ban towards the jungle there on the side of the Mighty Horns. Azure snapping back with that Thor, I just want to say, as you had brought up, seeing these bans go through that quickly, as well as these some of these top picks, it's like people they've been planning on this for a while. Looks like they know what they want going into this set.
Yeah, the Vulcan first pick on the side of the Legion, and then the Kabrakan and Thor. These are picks that we see in the current meta, but not normally this high up. Why are they prioritized, especially this Vulcan this early on?
I think it's just what we were saying. I think everybody's just, they thought about what they wanted to do this week, and I think they're just they're letting everybody play kind of what they feel they want to do here. We see the Humbats come through to kind of go against the store with the Cupid lock in as well. not much time spent on either side. So I really think it just comes down to everybody's been thinking about this game this week on both sides here.
Yeah, I do want to talk about this Humbets, though. It's a pick that we haven't seen very often. You mentioned that he brought it to go into the Thor. Why do you go Humbets into a Thor?
I think you're just going for that Humbats. I mean, we got the Cupid there, we got the Humbats. I think the amount of CC that we see on the side of Legion right now, it's getting pretty far up there. We got the Cupid ult, Humbats ult into a Vulcan ult. I mean, just burn the beats with the Cupid ult, and then that's a free Vulcan ult, I feel, come these late games.
Their goddess.
And then we have an Ishtar to round it out. Ishtar has been seeing a lot of play in the SPL lately, has been performing really well, and she's getting buffed come Tuesday. How crazy is that? This Ishtar is a really strong pick right now.
I still stand by what I said. Maybe it's just me, but I'm still, until this buff goes through on this current one, I think Ishtar's still a bit rough in comp. I think she's a good carry your own kind of god. I guess you could say rank god, but I feel she's so easy to catch out once that dash is down if you're in a comp setting.
Well, I want to look at these last two bans. Cthulhu and Kern, things that we see every once in a while. Makes sense that they're second round bans. But Poseidon and Nike. Poseidon we've been seeing a little bit of, and it's understandable. The Kraken is one of the best secures in the game. The Whirlpool is just annoying, especially if you have a Vulcan. Well, actually not so much anymore if you have a Vulcan because of the cripple removal. But what about this Nike? Why do we see the Nike ban?
It seems like they're looking towards, as Legion able to swap up their players into different positions upon games. And I think, if you've watched 80s throughout the season, he's good on this Cthulhu Nikes. So I'm wondering if they're thinking he's going solo. I'm not sure who's going where, but it looks like they're just trying to ban him out so he can't have those pressure picks that he likes to get into.
When we see the Morrigan picked up here for the Mighty Horns, and the Morrigan is a pick that has really come back into the meta. It's hard to say that the Morrigan left because her ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the game. You just become the best god in the current match for 10 seconds and you just wreak havoc. And then the Morrigan's just normal kit, base kit, is pretty good at it too. But she's been making a really big comeback, and I'm scared to see this Morrigan if I'm the Legion, especially since you locked in that Hoonsbats.
Yep. I mean, just there's so many options. I say this almost every time we've seen Morgan this season. Just so many options you can switch into. It's all these good gods just up at the top right now. Just able to transform into any of them during any team fight, and the other team they have to be prepared for that.
Well, they. They didn't really get the memo that you need to pick around the Morrigan pick because they picked two really good team fighting ultimates with that Jing Shen and Ares. What's the plan here?
I'm just gonna say it, man. I think the ult CCs, they're just banking on stacking these one after another, try to finish everybody off before they can get anything done, it looks like.
It's gonna be interesting to see. And it's fair to assume that Jing Shen is going solo. We might see some Deathwalker shenanigans with that Ares going over to solo and Jing Shen support, but I'm willing to bet that's Jing solo. But let's talk about matchups, because if this Ymir gets locked in, that means that the Cabrakan is going over to solo, and that means that we won't have a single warrior in this match. How does that solo lane fare out between the Cabrakan and the Jing?
I don't know. I really think that lane goes to a flip of a coin, right? Because Cabrakan probably got the out clear, but Zhang, I don't know. He's got that sustain game. I'd have to just base it off a clear in this instance, and I'm gonna have to say Cabrakan just for the clear, but we'll have to see how that solo lane goes. I am curious about this Ishtar Cupid, because, Ishtar, you do just ult the Cupid ult, but hopefully maybe burn some beads out here. I mean, we have, every ult just kind of burns bees besides Vulcan ult on the side of Legion.
Yeah, a lot of bees burning potential, and that makes me think that we're going to be seeing a lot of Magi's cloaks on the side of the Mighty Horns. I'm sorry, I forgot the name for a second. But at the same time, a lot of beads can be burned on the side of the Mighty Horns as well. I mean, Kabrakan just stun into all is crazy. Ymir is an obvious beads burner. The Morrigan. Ishtar can burn those beads with her ultimate. Thor is a very, very good beads burner. I mean, both these teams really have to be perfect with their beads timers.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say this for game one. It's gonna be a battle of the beads.
So with that, who are you favoring between the Legion and the Mighty Horns, just based on the comp?
I think if they keep the survivability up, I gotta give the actual weight of the team fight to the Mighty Horns. But if they can pull off this non-stop combo I'm just seeing on the side of Legion, I'm thinking they can get it through. But if they get caught out as a group, I just think the Mighty Horns just win just about everything. You really have to play off the ults on the side of Legion here, which is why I think the Mighty Horns have a more consistent approach.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Personally, I do like it when my support picks up compaction or something later in the game. I think Benevolence going with it first, the amount of sustain it just helps give. It's just nice. I don't know. Personally, my thoughts on that. The thing that interests me here, we do see the Zhang go on the Conduit while the Sands is going on the Kabrakan. I mean, I know both do the true damage, but that one clear on the Zhang with Conduit at 20, I think that'll be let him keep up a little bit here with this Kabrakan.
Yeah, but it's really going to be interesting because I'm looking specifically at this Kabrakan because normally with Kabrakan we do see the Vamp Shroud, and normally with Garden Solos we see the Conduit gem to help with that clear. I don't know if I really ever see any of them go Santa Time, so I'm really curious as to what his plan is with that Santa Time.
I think it's just the cooldown, just be able to keep up the pressure over the Zhang over here and kind of wear him down. He's got that sustain like I was talking about, so maybe just kind of try to keep him poked out where you can't keep that sustain for me.
Well, as you said in Picks and Bans, he's got some very early pressure with that Tremors. I mean, it's just the best wave clear in the game. Or get level 1. Sans Anubis, who is getting in a buff, by the way, and kind of not talking about the game. Do you think we'll start seeing Anubis in some of these comp games with the buff?
I think it's very possible. I think with not just the Sands buff, but the Vamp Shroud buff, I think he's going to become a bit more viable again.
Yeah, I love watching some Anubis, especially in this league, in this division, when team players just get really creative with how they can use them. I remember in Season 3, I want to say, of QSL, I was the mid laner for my team, and we came up with the Keep Raptor Alive team comp. And I was Anubis, and we had a Kepri solo and a Geb support. And their only job was to keep me alive. But over in solo lane, actually, Jaeger getting a little low to Deathly Shriek, and there's that Conduit gem coming into fruition. It's really doing the damage in this early game.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I do want to point out. Conduit Gem Clear is just, it's amazing. I make the joke all the time, but it's like the magical bluestone, man. It's just nice. It's there. We do see over here, it does see Bracking and Buckwheat over here taking the pressure over 80s and Spades.
Yeah, as much damage as Ares Cupid does, and as much of a kill lane that is, I will always say it's incredibly hard to out clear an Ishtar, no matter who her support is. And
Yep.
add on a Ymir with that, there's almost no way they're losing lane pressure early on.
I think the only thing I've personally experienced is maybe Izanami Ymir and maybe Charybdis Ymir. Outside of that, I can't think of anything that would outclear.
I mean, it's just really hard. The lob arrows, the AoE arrows, just... Why did they have to add bonus damage on top of AoE? Like, was
Yeah.
the AoE not enough clear?
Like, let's give them Sylvanas, or let's give a Hunter Sylvanas autos, guys. That can go over walls. And
Yeah, I mean...
then we'll also give her Hachi one, but longer.
And then we'll also just give her a shotgun for reasons.
Oh yeah, tanks running up on you. We'll make sure you got something to deal with that.
I don't know. I love Ishtar, but you just gotta question some of the god choices Hi-Rez has made in recent years. mean-
Oh, got the beads we see there out of Jaeger.
That was the beads for all, and that's something that we were saying. Beads are just always gonna have to be down, and since Kabrakan doesn't have any CC immunity, actually looking at it, he's the only one on the team without any CC immunity, so you know he's gonna be the target for much scrutiny from this team because they can lock him down so easily. So
Yeah.
I think I'm curious, are the Mighty Horns going to play around that if you know that Legion is really going to focus him out?
You know, I stick by what I said with the start of this with Legion. Like, their whole plan right now, in my opinion, is just burn those ults, like we were saying. So with the Mighty Horns, you just gotta kind of play back, try and get your farm. I don't think you'd be too aggressive now that it was 5. Maybe try to pick up that first blood a bit sooner, but I mean, for right now, they're doing pretty good for what they can. I don't think Patron got those backs. I didn't really get to see that.
He did not, but he did get the wards down, so he does know exactly when those will be coming up. I kind of want to ask you something real quick. Is any team favored at any stage in the game? Like, is one team comp more late game than the other? Is one team comp on a timer of some sort? What are you looking at between... Oh, well, hold on. The gank over here in the solo lane, double ultimate, and those beads being down immediately punishes Jaeger, and he will go down. Deathly Shriek picking up the first kill, but over in the duo lane, we see the Anvil of Dawn coming out. Aid's getting very low, but he's not able to get the kill, and that might just cost him some of his back camps, but they will be able to pick up the purple buff in response.
Yep. I mean, over there, we do see Jaeger get ganked by Patron. That was both Shrieks and Patron's ults, but that's that CC we're talking about there, man. And going off your question, that's what I'm talking about. I think the amount of CC here that Legion has, nobody has Magi's yet. They're still working on some cooldown. We actually got some stacking going on as well. But at the end of the day, I gotta give the early and mid game to Legion. But where I was talking about the Mighty Horns being able to really make this third game, I think is possibly late game. If they're able to just survive this onslaught from the Legion on their side, I think they have the ability with those ults down to be able to have the better team fight after they are.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting once we get into this late game, because if you look at the other side, you think okay, their tanks are pretty early, but the rest of the team is pretty late. Like Thor one-shots late game, Morgan one-shots late game, and the Ishtar just becomes a chainsaw late game. And so
Yeah.
it's really both teams are just, they're a mix of early and late game, and I'm really interested to see which team plays around that playstyle the best.
Yeah. We do see the Oracles here go down to the side of the Mighty Horns, keeping that vision on that Gold Fury. Maybe possibly looking to go for it soon.
Yeah, Deathly Shriek does have his ult up, and I can just hear him in comms saying, let me ult, just let me ult, let me get those beads, and there it is. He's not going to use the beads, though. Jaeger learning his lesson, knowing that he's not in any danger here. But if there was a gank, I'm very curious what would have happened if he would have used those beads. I'm assuming so, right? Like, if there's a gank, you're gonna and you know it, you're gonna use those beads right there.
Yeah. The question I do have for you, you know, I bring it up every week. I'm not too mage savvy, but what do you think about not just the starter diff, but the Book of Thoth versus the Warlock staff here for the Soul Link?
One screams, "I am running at you early," and the other, or I should say, one screams, "I am going full damage," and the other screams, "I am going bruiser at the very least." The Book of Thoth, yes, what's it called? The Breastplate of Valor uses it, goes into it very, very well. But other than that, you're really just looking for that early damage. A trade of ults over here on the left side, and 80s comes out the worse for wear with that trade. But going back to your question, I like the Warlock staff better in solo personally, but you know, if I was going to build Book of Thoth on a magical solo, Cabrakan would be the one I go to, so I don't hate either pick.
Now, I also don't play Cabrakan. How big of a change is getting the Book of Thoth for you with the mana you have to use on your 3?
It's pretty big. Like, you know, it doesn't just increase the amount of damage or the amount of power you have per your mana. It also increases that mana with each stack. So, you know, come late game, he will be having close to 2k, 22k, or 2.2k. I'm sorry, mana, which you know is huge, especially with that tremors. But that power is really what you're getting it for, because it will take what might be a 2-shot with your 1 and then your 2 and turns it immediately into a 1-shot Buckley eating 2 ultimates and not really caring that much. But if Deathly Shriek hits this off, he will only catch Rodeo. Oh my gosh! Rodeo turns into the Hoonbats and immediately gets paid for it. He does use the beads though, but he got caught in both the Whirlwind Rage and Steel and the Fear No Evil, and he just got blown up, and immediately it's a Gold Fury call.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is what I'm saying. Look on the side of Legion here, man. All the ults down and almost exactly at the same time, just used in unison together. Playing off that, I feel they're just able to get so much more done with this early pressure. We see the gold swinging up their way, and once they get this Gold Fury, they're almost 3k up?
Yeah, just about 3k up, and that is massive at this stage of the game. That gets you about a full item, or at least half an item, ahead of your opponent, which very well could mean the difference between life and death. But XP-wise, we're not really seeing a difference. Half a level in mid, half a level in solo. So the Mighty Horns, they're still farming very well, and really that's just what they have to do at this point, and because I think that they have just as good of a team fight as the Legion.
Yeah, I do agree. The Mighty Horns here, like I was saying, if they can get to this late game, you know, get those Magi's online. We see Ymir, I don't know if he's going Spirit Robe or if he's going to go...
It's got to be in Magi's, because he doesn't have beads. He doesn't have beads.
That's not the 2-2, though, is it? Magi's? That's the cloak, the one on the left.
Oh, no, it is. So that is going to be a Mantle or a Spirit Robe.
Yeah, I'm wondering which one he's going to go here. That's actually kind of curious, because I really thought he was going to be picking up a Magi's there. Like you said, not having the beads, opting to go for this sprint heat.
I mean, I get his plan, you know. You have your ultimate for whenever Ares or this Xing goes in. But what happens if the Ares goes in, pulls your ult, and then Shriek goes in and ults, or vice versa? I feel like that Magi's is just too valuable at this moment, but I'm very curious to see where he goes with this build.
The other thing is, with Ymir, you know, you're stationary. It's not like Sobek where you're moving. So, I mean, if nothing else, Vulcan can just ult you while you're sitting there building it.
Yeah. Rodrigo falling fairly low. Has to be careful with the Ares there, but his beads are coming up right now, so he won't be in much trouble for much longer. Deathly Shriek rotating over, seeing if he can maybe get something done, but doesn't really look like it. But look at this side. Well, I say look at this side. I was just about to talk about how quiet it has been over here on the left side, but 80s picking up the kill on Bracking, and just like that, Legion's up 3-0.
You know, just before that happened, I was about to ask you, what do you think about the crit versus the shred builds right now? But as we see there, crit coming through, AD's able to take down Bracking.
Well, Azure gets his beats pulled. Rodrigo turns into the Thor, and a missed Fear No Evil. That is seriously gonna hurt the Legion in this fight, but they are still on top, and they are still pushing forward. A great Earthshaker picks up Rodrigo, but the real Thor comes right back in and picks up the first kill for the Mighty Horns. He will immediately fall in turn, and was that a 2-for-1, I believe it was?
Yep, 2 for 1. Only Patron going down over there, but technically, I'd still call it a 2 for 1 because Bracking was a little bit before that. I think
it was almost a 4-for-1 right there. Well, it might be a 4-for-2 as the fight continues on with Jaeger's rotation. Spaze is in a lot of trouble. Jaeger misses the stun, and just like that, the fight turns completely around with 80's rotation, and Deathly Shriek knocks 2 up, gets the double kill, and now Jaeger fell, and that's an unofficial deicide on the side of the Legion. That hurt to watch. I'm sorry, but that hurt to watch.
It's just the CC right now, man. I'm telling you, if you're the Mighty Horns, just keep farming. Don't look for these fights right now. Early in mid game, like we were talking about, I just feel it's gonna go to the side of the Legion most of these times here. This late game is really what you need to go for. You know, get Rodrigo transform into either the Thor or you can even go grab the Ares or the Zhang. Just something that's gonna be able to help you guys set up this situation right now. Because there's just so much setup over here on the side of the Legion at this point.
Yeah, you don't have pressure really anywhere anymore. Rodrigo gets caught out. A beautiful prediction by Sir Patron, and he will just solo down Rodrigo. Buttweak tried to do what he could, but just couldn't do enough in time. And that's a free pick. And all of a sudden, it's a 4K gold lead, and it's 9-1, 15 minutes in. And with this Oni Fury spawning, if you're the Mighty Horns, you can't give this up, but you might just be too far behind that you have to give it up.
Yeah, honestly, I think it is an Oni Fury, though. I don't know.
They stole it!
Oh, they stole it!
I was just about to say, I would go nuts if I saw a Thor wall steal the Gold Fury. And that's exactly what we saw. Buckwheat will pay for it with his life. But that's a massive win if you're the Mighty Horns. You brought this back, turned what might be a 6K deficit into a 4K. But if Azure falls, it might not be as worth it anymore. It looks like they will be okay, though. Bracking, though, stepping up, testing his luck. And he's doing all right against Spaze. But now that he sees Deathly Shriek there, it looks like the retreat call is on for both teams.
Yeah, I gotta say, Azure pulling off that stealman was absolutely insane. Thorwall and damage.
What? I don't know. So we saw a Khepri steal it with the tick earlier. I almost feel like just because it's brand new and it's not expected, the Thorwall steal is even more impressive.
I agree. I mean, it starts at only what, 50, and then it really scales off your power, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Thor is up in the air with that Avalodon and gets a triple stun. The Mighty Horns steal away the Pyromancer, and they get 2 kills in turn. Azure does fall, but Rodrigo and Jaeger should get out. Maybe 80s does rotate in, and with that Heart Bomb, that should spell the end. Deathly Shriek comes in just to make sure, and it is a 2-for-2. But the Mighty Horns get the Pyromancer in the end. And Legion, they need to start securing these objectives or they're going to watch this lead slip from them very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the second objective we've seen stolen there. I really think they need to start trying to put a bit more work into the secure, like you were saying.
Neptune Spartan, this is the second time he has ulted just a little too early. And both times, it has been stolen. This first by Jaeger, or first by Azure, and this time by Jaeger. If you're the Legion and you're Neptune Spartan, you have to, and absolutely have to, make sure these Earthshakers are on target if you're going to use As-Secure.
Yep. Very quick cooldown already coming back up. This cooldown on Vulcan, man, you think they're going to be handling this anytime soon?
I mean, he's already got 20%, so it's not that crazy. I am curious about the Staff of Mirrodin, though. An item that we see a fair bit on certain gods, but Vulcan is not one of those gods. Why do we see him picking it up?
I'm not too sure about that, man. I'm surprised at how fast this ult is just coming back up, though. Vulcan getting the buff a little while ago, again, starting to just get played almost every game that he's available.
I think it's funny, and Inbound put this tweet out, and I was like, it's actually so true. Vulcan went from being a bottom tier god to being a must pick, must ban, and all they did was change that his one doesn't get crippled out anymore. How many other gods need that change, and then they need a change like that, and they would become just really good all of a sudden? I'll hold that thought, though, as a fight starts around the Fire Giant, and Ultimate comes out of Buckwheat just to make sure he survives and then gets pulled. The Earthshaker does come down, but he immediately gets tunked on by two! Count them, two Anvil of Dawns! Jaeger falls as well. Right now it's a 2-for-1. And just like that, it's a full retreat. It was a 5-on-4 that entire fight because Bracking wasn't in that fight. But with that Vulcan down, are you confident anymore at taking any objectives?
The ults are down. This is what I was talking about. This is the opportunity for the Mighty Horns, I think, to really start doing some stuff. I mean, their ults are down, but they have just as much CC in their main kits as the Legion do off of their ults. Like I'm saying, Legion, they have to play off these ults. They hit this late game, the Mighty Horns, they have more CC just based on their standard kit.
Yeah, I don't know. As Legion are going to be posturing around this Fire Giant once again, might just be looking to get some warding pressure, but with 80's positioning, and if they know that Bracking is on the right side, they're actually starting it up. But look at that Sir Patron. This eats a ton of damage. Neptune Spartan isn't in this fight, and Earthshaker is back up, but it's only Buckwheat and Azure. A great wall! But with that wall, they know Azure has to back. They know Buckwheat is low. They're going right back to this Fire Giant, and only Jaeger and Buckwheat are here. Rodrigo is rotating over, but will he be here in time? This Fire Giant is going down as quickly as I think the Legion would want, and Rodrigo gets spot out on the flank. Buckwheat getting... Oh, the beats come out of Jaeger as Buckwheat continues to get dropped down. The Anvil of Dawn coming out, and Spartan hits an Earthshaker and takes out Buckwheat, but the transformation from Rodrigo, the great Fear No Evil, takes down two. Deathly Shriek is on a rampage now, though, and he and 80's are just trying to run away. Spades gonna fall here. Now it's only Deathly Shriek and 80's, and just like that, the Mighty Horns, they want to fight, but can they do anything with it?
I think, you got Rodrigo, you got Azure, you got Bracking. I think you can pull gold. I'm not confident in them at this point being able to do fire by the three of themselves. Not without the Morgan transformation into another ADC.
Well, with Buckwheat back up and still about 10 seconds on the nearest respawn from the Legion, it looks like they will be taking that Gold Fury. And they do have vision on both the Pyromancer and the Fire Giant if the Legion wanted to do anything. And just like that, take a look at the graphs. We've got an even game all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, through these objectives, the Mighty Horns just able to catch up on that gold. They're starting to hit this late game I was talking about, man, where they're just... This is their time to shine. This is where they're going to want to start taking these fights, being able to get active.
I'm all of a sudden really concerned about the Legion. You've been talking about them having such a great team fight. Ever since we've started seeing the 4-on-4, 5-on-5 team fights, they've just been losing them. They've been winning by getting picks. And now all of a sudden, yes, they've been stalled it out enough that the enemy team can't take any big objectives by dropping down their mid laner or their ADC or their tanks, but they've been losing them in the end nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you gotta give credit to the Mighty Horns there, just able to realize, hey, you know, early game, they're gonna be able to keep this pressure, and they were able to secure like every objective there for a long time, just continuously in a row. Be able to keep up in that gold lead for them that the Legion had, being able to just close that deficit, able to keep farming. I mean, we saw a couple times Bracken choosing that farm over trying to, you know, be there, just having trust in his team. Overall, you got hands to the Mighty Horns.
Yeah, you really do. And now, if you're the Legion, what do you change up? Because these team fights, they look like they're not going that bad, but you're losing every single one. What do you change up in these team fights as they start up the Fire Giant?
You know, before I was saying it, you were stacking all these ults, and all these ults are your main form of CC here on the Legion. The only other real CC you really got to play off of is Ares Chains, and, you know, the Zheng 2 is the 2 the root thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to play off of that and Cupid Heart Bomb. Other than that, you don't got much CC.
Well, immediately 80s and Neptune Spartan go down because of the CC from the Mighty Horns, and now Deathly Shriek in a lot of trouble. But a fantastic Fear No Evil. But is it enough? It looks like he's going to be the one falling instead. Patron running for his life, and he will fall in the end. And Spades now. Spades so close to falling. Can Jaeger catch him? With that stun, it might just be enough. No! He lives with 100 health. But that's a TKO, and that means Fire Giant goes to the Mighty Horns almost completely uncontested.
Yep. Just right here, just able to do what I was saying. You know, they got the CC control here in this late game fight. They've done what they needed to all game. They got Magi's online now here on
oh no, Shriek. Shriek surely falls here, right? He's a tanky boy, but he doesn't actually. He only gets down to half health. That's surprising to me. I was expecting to see Shriek fall there, but in the end, the tower will be the one falling.
I do want to give a shout out to one of my favorite items there, Oni Hunter's Guard. Very, very good item for situations like that.
Wait, a Hunter player liking Oni Hunter's Guard? What's this?
You gotta keep in mind, I do like Tsukiyomi as well, and I like building kind of a hybrid Tsukiyomi. And Oni's is one of my favorite items to pick up for a slot, just to be a bit tankier there while you can still go some damage items.
I just want to talk about Buckwheat here, man. He's 0-4. It doesn't look like he's doing a whole lot if you just look at KDs. But if you look at how he's playing, he's carried a lot of these team fights. Fantastic walls, fantastic freezes, and then his ultimates has caught two at least every single time. And Buckwheat has really just been doing such good work for this Mighty Horns team.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't reflect in the KD like you were saying, but he is putting the work in for his team, making sure the setup's there, just being the guy that steps up and says, hey guys, let's get this party started.
Well, how about this? The Mighty Horns are down 6 kills. It's not just 1 or 2, it's 6 kills. But they are up by almost 3.5k damage. The Anvil of Dawn is up, and Azur goes right onto AIDS, and AIDS gets deleted. Kabrakan ult comes out and is immediately answered with Deathly Shrieks, but he has the beads. That's one pair of beads down, but can Spades find anything with it? Bracken's beads are down as well, but he does have that ultimate, and those beads are coming up in about 6 seconds. It looks like they might just take that tower and leave, or not. They might be pushing up with this Trebuchet. If you're the Legion, especially with ADs down, does your base defense look?
You know, like, I'm sounding like a broken record here, but Legion, without these ults, man, I don't really know. I mean, they're going to be able to get that damage off when they step in, but I just don't have anything to constantly stop them now that they have these beads and Magi's online.
Rodrigo takes down Neptune Spartan with the transformation. Rodrigo now is the one in trouble, and with 80's respawn, that will be the end of his life. But Azure, the wall ends the life of Sir Patron, and now 80's trapped in, does find the smallest crack and is able to slip through and goes right into the Titan room, the rest of the team. And now, down! The Anvil of Dawn! Azure will set up Bracken to take the kill, and just like that, game number 1 will go to the Mighty Horns. And I just realized Jaeger has alternate timeline. I didn't even notice that beforehand.
I just gotta say that was amazing recognition there by the Mighty Horns. Basically realizing what I was saying throughout the game. Legion having that early mid pressure. I feel able to get those leads with those picks from the CC we were talking about. But they held on. They got that late game. They were able to secure objectives. They were just amazingly, man. Able to keep up in that gold, make it to where once they got those levels, they were able to just press the go button on their own terms.
I'm sorry to point this out, but we have to see more from Sir Patron on this Hoonbats. He only did 7.5k damage, which, as a Hoonbats, with an ultimate that is as crucial as a Fear No Evil, you gotta do more than that. I saw maybe 2 Fear No Evils that really hit the mark and did what they were supposed to do, and those were early on in the game. Otherwise, he was just hitting Rodrigo on their backline, which is very important to note. And I think that Sir Patron, if he's going to pilot this Hoonbats again, he has to start hitting these ultimates like they're meant to be hit.
Yep, I do agree with you firmly on that one.
I just think it's crazy that the kills were still in favor of the Legion. They won the game 17-16 kills wise, but they were down almost 8,000 in gold. That really just shows you how big and important map play and objective play is in comp, because they were up by almost, I think it was 8 kills, and they were still down by 1 or 2k, and that was just enough for the Mighty Horns to turn it around. Going into game number 2, what do you want to see differently out of the Legion?
I like the early aggression that Legion had, but I think we need to make it something that spreads out throughout the whole game. I think we need more CC on their side to be able to just be able to keep up with the CC that the Mighty Horns were able to pull off late game. Also, I do not think we let these 2, the Morgan, go through again. Just able to transform into really whoever they wanted to that game. We saw the Cupid a couple times. We saw the Hoonbats quite a bit. We saw Thor going in for those double Anvil of Dawns. I think at one time, maybe wrong on this, I think we saw the Ishtar even. Just so many things they were able to turn into that were able to shift some of the fights. And also, the Legion just needs to step up on that objective security.
Yeah, well, that is one of the reasons you pick the Morgan. But that is only game 1. We still have one more game to play. Mighty Horns go up 1-0 in this best of 3 set. Can the Legion bring it back, or can the Mighty Horns close it out in one more game? We will see after this short break.
And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it.
And welcome back, Quackers and Quackettes. It's game number 2 between the Mighty Horns and the Legion. I'm still Raptor, he's still Uchi, and this is still my game of the week. And game 1 really lived up to that, and I'm super excited to see what game 2 brings.
Yeah, I'm really excited here. We see it right off rip, that Morgan ban. Rodrigo able to just transform into anybody last game, a lot of CC. Just able to switch these fights around to whoever's favorite it really needed to go.
Yeah, that Morgan was super impactful. And like I said, the Legion really didn't help themselves because what was her favorite targets to transform into? The Thor and the Hoonbats. And I mentioned the Hoonbats was one of the best Morgan transformations, and well, they paid for it dearly with that. Given the Morgan was picked into the Hoonbats, but we're not gonna be nitpicky here. Going through bans, the same bans actually past that Morgan. We see the Khepri, Ravana, Hades, Guan Yu, Yamoja. Nothing really changes, and instantly going into picks, we see the Ganesh first pick a little bit, just a little bit different than a Vulcan.
Yeah, just grabbing that Ganesh. I guess trying to see what else the Mighty Horns are gonna grab here as they run back the Thor and the Kraken again, and maybe looking for that synergy off that solo jungle side.
I mean, Azur did so well in that game on that Thor. He was the game changer. And Jaeger, he started off a little rough, but he really pulled it together in the late game and found some massive ultimates. So, the Legion, they're immediately thinking, okay, we have to watch the skies, and we need something that can deal with walls. And Ganesh is exactly that, with his dash being able to go right through walls. But on that note, what would you like to see here from the Legion? What would you like to see him pick up?
I'm a big avid fan of always. If you want to wait later, see what else the team's grabbing. Charybdis is always a good pick. I don't think as strong as CERN does feel to me in this current meta, I don't think CERN be a good one here with the walls coming out of the side of the Mighty Horns. We do see the Cthulhu and the Yu Hong getting locked in here though. Yu Hong, I think a bit safe into all this, and then with the Cthulhu just able to turn big, get this team to get up in there.
Yeah, but the Yu Hong makes sense. Like I said, deal with walls, be safe. Yu Hong is exactly that. But the Cthulhu, a single Kraken completely just locks in a Cthulhu because you can't see where those walls are exactly. And now with this Kernanos lock in, that just makes it even more avid because, get Kins, beat Cthulhu with the yellow numbers. Get Kins with Kern, and you're throwing up 2 yellow numbers.
Like I was saying, on the side of Legion, CERN not really being able to be locked in, I felt, but over here on the side of the Mighty Horns, this CERN lock-in, pretty impactful. That 2 having that cripple now, you hit that Yu Hong, he's stuck there for a second. That's, cripple, CERN 2, Kraken 1, Thor 2. I mean, you got DR, but are you going to survive that many autos in that Thor and Kraken up there in your face?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see going into bans. We see some familiar faces from last game, the Cupid and the Vulcan being banned. With that Yu Hong being locked in already, it makes complete sense why we see the Vulcan ban.
Yep, Vulcan just cripples don't work, as we were saying anyway. So, that Cupid ban coming through, that Humbats ban as well. Ishtar ban coming back around on the other side.
Yeah, why are we seeing... Hoonbats has a really good ultimate. I don't think he's that good in the meta right now, and Sir Patron, as I mentioned, left a lot to be wanted off of his Hoonbats performance in Game 1. Why do we see the Hoonbats ban here?
Maybe we don't get that Morgan on the side of the Mighty Horns. They're thinking maybe we just don't want to deal with that CC ult every, 60 seconds with 40% cooldown, something like that. We don't want to do it again with the lack of CC immunity in our ults.
Well, speaking of lack of CC immunity, we get the exact opposite of that with Ymir. Performed really well. Like I said, Buckwheat was the unsung hero of last game. He played really well on that Ymir, and we're seeing its return, which I'm very excited about. But the Legion pick up this Ratatasker, so from one solid but non-meta pick to another, why do we see the Rat?
The Rat right now, maybe just safe, able to get up in there. Get that stun off. Try to get at least a pick. I think it's more we're here to pick a person out this team, this time around, on the side of Legion. Looks like they're really just going for this late game. Let's group up, get one person picked with the rattle, and then just collapse on them. Over here on the side of the Mighty Horns, to me, kind of talking so far about, hey, we're going to have that pressure early, mid, and we're still going to be able to mess you up late game with the amount of enclosure we can get on you. So, I'm curious to see who they're going to pick in for this last, I'm assuming mid here.
Well, speaking of what you just said about where the Mighty Horns are strongest, how do you want to see, now that we see the full team comp on the side of the Legion, how do you want to see them play this game to make sure that the Mighty Horns that doesn't happen for the Mighty Horns?
I think the roles have kind of swapped from last game, if that makes sense. I really think the game's going to get ran over here on the side of the Mighty Horns early and mid, and then I think that's where Legion's going to have a bit more time to shine, unlike last time around.
Man, I'm just...
So basically, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Basically, I would just go along the lines of flipping the tables from last time. But, locking that Rama in this double hunter comp, now kind of switching it back to medium it out for me. Maybe the Mighty Horns do just have it all well-rounded this time around as well.
That Rom was picked solely because that Cthulhu was locked in. If they pick anything but Cthulhu, I don't think we see a double hunter, especially with how well Rodrigo piloted that mage in game one. But the double hunter, Cthulhu come late game especially, we're going to be seeing double kins. And that Cthulhu, once he goes into the Descent of Madness, if he even gets into it, is just going to get deleted. So that late game presence becomes even stronger for the Mighty Horns that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean that was really the time I was thinking maybe Legion could get back in here. Like I'm saying, I think early in mid game they're gonna have to play kind of more like the Mighty Horns did game one, just try to secure the objectives, not get too far behind. But locking in this Rama now, double ADC meta right now, man. I feel the damage is just gonna go hard here for them all the way around at this point.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but right now I'm favoring the Mighty Horns to just close this set out right here. The Legion have ways in. I can see ways that the Legion win, but the comp that the Mighty Horns drafted is just so well put together that, in my opinion, I just have to give it to the Legion. I don't see many ways that the Mighty Horns, I'm sorry. I don't see many ways that the Legion can reliably win this game.
I think it sticks down to they're just going to have to play well in these late game team fights. I think that's the only real way here, but it's just my personal opinion watching from the outside in. Let's tune in and see how this actually goes out.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about jungles. So we've seen the Thor and the Hundats, and we didn't really talk about the junglers actually until late game when Azur just went off, and then post game when I commented that Patron really just needed a little bit more out of him. How does the Ratatasker and Thor fare? I call this the To the Skies battle.
I think they're having a talk on Yggdrasil about why Thor had to knock everybody back through time. That's how the old battle is going to go this game. Norse reference.
Yeah. It was a pretty good one. Those who haven't played God of War yet, I envy you. But I just really don't know how to feel about this set, as it seems like we're having some technical problems at the moment. So we will get you right into game as soon as possible. But I truthfully just don't know what. So you talked about the Legion and how they kind of just need to not fall behind and get to late game. I don't feel like that's such a reliable strategy anymore, especially with that ROM pick.
It's not. That's kind of why I was a bit sad when I saw the Rama pick, man. Over here, just this double hunter just going to allow you to really get through this Cthulhu late game. Like you were saying, like if Legion's main hope, in my opinion, was get the Cthulhu ult off, get the Rat ult off, get a pick on maybe, Azure if his dash is down, he's trying to get out of the fight after he initiates, knock out maybe the CERN, the mage that I was assuming was going to get picked at the time. Just try to get that pick and then collapse late game because you'll have that damage and be able to keep up. Seeing this Rama picked up at the end here, this double ADC just going to be able to go through this Cthulhu like butter, like you said. If Patron on this Rat tries to jump in, I think he just gets blown up, shredded. I don't know. I'm really curious to see if Legion may able to just be able to pull something off still late game. Maybe just a good setup or able to just let the Mighty Horns with this draft maybe get a bit overconfident.
Well, through picks and bans, it's sounding like we're favoring the Mighty Horns, but we've still got a set to play, and we were favoring the Legion in last game, and look how that turned out. So let's see if they can turn this around for game number 2 as we go right in. Mighty Horns up 1-0. They can end the match right now if they win this set. Or if they win this game. I got that flipped around. I'm very sorry. But so going back, we still don't have a single warrior, by the way, which I think is nuts. But we talked about Jing versus Cthulhu, or Jing versus Cabrakan. Now we're seeing Cthulhu with Warrior's Axe versus Cabrakan. And it looks like Jaeger's going the same build. How does this matchup look, do you think?
This is one of those things where until ults are both up, if AD's here can get Cthulhu ult before Jaeger's able to get Cabrakan ult, maybe be able to pick up a lead or a pick off that if he's able to. I think isn't the little helmet he is going, aren't most of those physical defense though, now that I think about it, such as Lotus Crown, J-Demps, all that?
They are, yes, which is very interesting to say the least. He could be going, I forget the helmet's name, but it buffs your minions and gives you lane pressure, so that could really be helpful against a Cabrakan Buckwheat. Getting a little low there.
Yeah. See Shriek switching over to ADC this game as well. Just something I want to point out.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was just about to point it out. Apparently, 80s and Shriek, they thought that this matchup could go better with them role swapping. We saw this last week as well when the Legion actually won game 1. So apparently it's just something that they really like to do. They're pulling the Dragons method where, you never know what they're playing.
Yeah. This is pretty interesting. We've seen it be successful in the past. Drafts at one point of the day do make up, I think, 70% of comp, but there's still always that 30%, I believe, that, as we see here, Spades able to just try to get in. Ooh, misses the dash, though.
Yeah, Buckwheat still falling very low, but all that time Bracking was just wailing on Deathly Shriek. And it doesn't matter if Spades is trying to body block or not. Once he activates that Spectral Arrow, it will hit both of them and do damage, no matter what. So, Bracking, I'm actually very interested because when I think of Rom, I think that he has pretty good early pressure. I know he's considered a late game god just because he becomes a literal chainsaw. Like I called Ishtar a chainsaw in game 1. Rom is even more of a chainsaw come late game, but early game, I've always thought, especially with that Spectral Arrow, he had fairly good wave clear, but we're not seeing that really come into flourishing compared to Xbalanque.
See, that's the thing with Rom, right? So you have that good wave clear, But going the start that you're going with the Devils right now, I don't feel you have that much power early game. You have to really rely on Buckwheat on this Ymir here to keep that pressure up against this G-Ball, who also is usually pretty good about keeping that pressure.
Yeah, and I'm really curious come late game because X-Ball also, especially with his passive, a fairly late game god, so it's going to be interesting to see how that fares out. But we're in the early game, and definitely Shriek and Spades are getting aggressive. A fantastic wall by Buckwheat. He will get stunned, however, but he will survive. And Bracking just dealing the damage right back, and suddenly he's had better health than Shriek.
Yeah, I mean, that's just power of Dust Stole there. You saw Shriek, he finished off that wave, and then he was going in to finish that, just able to get that sustain back up before going in. Buckwheat, I was surprised, really, him and Bracking stepping up still as half down as he was. Underestimating the power, I think, of that Dust Stole Devos start there.
I got so scared when I saw Patron start to dash. I thought that we were about to see his dash get caught by the wall, and I'm like, oh no, that's not good. He was level 5 though, so even if that did happen, I don't know how much trouble he would be in. But looking across the map, this feels like a lot slower start than the last game. And remember, we were only like 1-0 at this point, yet it still feels slower.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just really the comps here. Outside of the Mighty Horns, like I said, I'm really surprised they're not trying to get a bit more active early. Ooh, we do see the ult from Madatascar coming out here, able to get the stun on Bracking, Shriek picking up a kill, Patron picking up a kill.
How about that communication? He knew that his teammates had Buckwheat dead anyway, so he immediately ults onto Bracking, and they pick up 2 because of it. Fantastic communication.
Yeah, Legion right there just showing that, hey, we talk, we keep up to date with each other. Able, do the opposite of what we were talking about this early game. We really thought we was going to go to the Mighty Horns.
Yeah, and now I'm very curious. If the Legion have a lead going into the late game, are they favored, or does that just even the playing field, do you think?
I still think it just evens the playing field. So again, I just think it goes back to this double hunter thing we were talking about, where 80s in this late game going within the Cthulhu. I think just if it gets shredded too quick, unless you can get tankier before they get the Quins fully online,
Yeah. Speaking of this double hunter, I've been wanting to ask you, Carnanos, a hunter that has been fallen out of favor for quite some while, all of a sudden being played in both ADC and mid. Why aren't we seeing him in the mid lane?
Mainly sustain and the ability he can to burst. Well, not really burst, but just like he can sustain while he's boxing you, and then just outbox you when he gets you to a point, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people say it. I don't play him, so I can't really put my 2 cents in. But from what I've heard, Mage is just kind of rough in mid lane right now. So CERN being one of the better hunters over in dual lane right now, in my opinion, with the meta, I think he is able to translate over to mid pretty well.
I blame Baronic. 80s getting caught out a little bit thanks to that Ymir wall, but he will be just fine. Still about half a level down to this Cabrakan, and this is a completely different spot than we saw Jaeger in game 1. In game 1, he was about half a level down and was behind on stacks. Now he is ahead of half a level, and he has that Book of Thoth finished compared to the Jade Emperors on the side of their... I'm still very confused. Why does he go Jade Emperors?
You brought up the tyrannical thing, and I actually was like, yo, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's like, hey, if Cabrakan's just going to sit there and wail on your minions, what if they're a little bit tankier? Like it made sense to me. But seeing this Jade Imps, I'm a little complex now.
Yeah, well, a fight's breaking out all over the map, and the Anvil of Dawn and Azure getting active a bit earlier than last time. Might kick up a double kill, and he will. Will the tower take him down? It will, unfortunately. Neptune Spartan gets credit for that, but Azure getting a double kill, and just like that, it's a 3 for 2. The Legion are still ahead, But the Mighty Horns are ahead in gold.
Yeah, I think that just goes back to something I've said throughout the season. Azure being just a great jungle over here, man. Able to go in with the Advil of Dawn, got the pick on Spades, realized, hey, I have my Thorhammer up. Get that TP off. Threed, he may have died for it, but I think that was an excellent display about where he can show, hey, we're technically supposed to be in charge right now. Don't forget it.
Yeah, but it's completely negated in the duo lane as you see about a half-level lead there in favor of Deathly Shriek. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Rom is a late game monster who has pretty good early game clear, but Xbalanque is still just that bit better. And I'm curious, who do you favor in the late game if things don't change and we still see about that half a level to a level lead in favor of Deathly Shriek?
I personally prefer Gbal. He just fits my play style a bit more personally. But I will say, in the hands of Bracking, I can assume this Rama is going to be an absolute monster at the same time.
I just love Rom. But apparently, Deathly Shriek really doesn't. That Darkest of Nights coming out, and he's hitting all of his shots, but it's not going to be enough to take Bracking down. Bracking will survive. He does have to be careful, though, if he wants to step up to his wave, but it looks like Shriek has more interest in that left side. Harpies, but in the jungle nearby, Patron is getting caught out a little space there for his help, but looks like it's just going to be a fight for the Oris, and that easily goes to Legion.
Yeah, I mean, Legion right now just able to do the complete opposite of what we were talking about, like we were saying, thinking they were just going to have to play it safe, farm. They're able to get out here and just show, hey, we do have a little bit of pressure, don't forget it. Grabbing those oracles, getting wards set up around the Gold Fury.
But is it enough? They're still practically even in gold. And how large of a lead, if you're the Legion, do you have to have for you to feel comfortable going into these teamfight phase?
I'd say, at least in my opinion, at least 2 or 3 levels at least on somebody, whether it be Neptune, whether it be Patron, Shriek. You just need a few levels up on one of your players, and it does appear they're trying to get Deathly over here. We see, despite the double kill we saw earlier, we do see Patron maintaining a little bit of a lead, about, I'd say, maybe a half a level on Azure. Just right now, I think just continuing to get these little picks over on one person, just try to get one person really far ahead right now.
Yeah, and it really appears like if they're going to do that, Deathly Shriek or Patron has, maybe just Deathly Shriek, because I can't see Azure being on the ground much longer. He's gonna skyrocket up into the air with Mjolnir, and he's gonna come crashing down onto the head of Neptune Spartan at some point. So I feel like if you have to get someone ahead, I feel like it has to be Deathly Shriek, right?
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Rama just gonna, or not Rama, I'm sorry guys. Definitely on this Gbal gonna be the one to maybe get up in there. We've seen the aggression he's been putting forth on this Gbal. He's been the one I've been noticing maintaining that steady, at least I'd say almost a full level lead now. I believe he's probably going to hit about 13 here in a second.
Yeah, and I just noticed something as Pyromancer does go down and a fight actually breaks out. It looks like the Pyromancer isn't going to go freely to the Mighty Horns. Rodrigo does fall, and it looks like Buckwheat was likely to fall in suit, but the rest of the team will get out. Pyromancer for 2. That seems like it's mildly in favor of the Legion still.
Yeah, but that's the thing we were talking about game 1, where the Mighty Horns were able to just, stay afloat, able to secure these objectives. Is it really going to be like that again, though? Or the Mighty Horns, despite what we were talking about, having supposed to be running this mid-level, we were thinking, or mid-game, we were thinking, what if they're able to just steal these objectives again, Ooh.
Look at how on point the Legion are. They lose the Pyromancer, get 2 picks. Okay, let's immediately rotate to Gold Fury. Oh, Deathly Shriek is in trouble? Hey, let's immediately rotate in and try to pick up Azure. Azure does go up into the Anvil of Dawn. No way he goes down onto Shriek, right?
No,
he goes onto the purple buff instead. only gets the 2 smaller harpies, and he has to hammer out. He could be in big damage. Oh, the stun is not on the mark, and that will be the end of the chase. But I'd say that's a big win for the Mighty Horns. Sure, you don't get the kill, but you get the beads off of Deathly Shriek, and you stop them from doing the Gold Fury, even if you didn't know they were doing the Gold Fury.
Yeah, that's actually what I was trying to point out when we saw them go on gold, was Azure making that little play up there, just sneaking up behind. I think he probably heard them start gold, and he was like, yep, they're going to get that, but I'll just make sure that Shriek doesn't continue to get this lead. You know, having the back, and we see Bracking able to get that farm and bring that lead back to even there as well.
Yeah, it's also very likely that he knew without Shriek, they wouldn't be able to burn it quick enough, and so they would have to come over and bail him out. So just great map awareness from Azure, and just the fact that he didn't die makes it all that much better. Because if he had fell, I'd still say it might be in favor of the Mighty Horns, but it hurts just that much more. And now they keep their given very, very small gold lead.
Yep, you know, still only, what is that?
About 300, I think.
Yeah,
500, okay.
500. 500 now on the side of the Mighty Horns. You know, this is what they were able to do last game too, just able to secure these objectives or stall them out to their benefit. Playing very well around these. Curious to see how they do with this Gold Fury that seems to be starting. Oh,
the triple stun! The triple freeze out of Buckwheat immediately diffuses any chase the Legion might have had, and just like that, we're right back to a normal Gold Fury dance. The Gold Fury started up by the Legion, but they know all 5 are here. A fantastic wall forces out the leap by Spartan, and look at that 80s falling so low. He's taking so much damage. 80s, it looks like he might just fall, but instead it'll be Jaeger who falls to Spartan, and Deathly Shriek will take down Buckwheat. Oh, Azure is not able to get to his hammer. Unfortunately, it was in the wall, and just like that, 3 for none. How did 80 survive that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anybody was seeing that, but I was just the whole time watching his health bar like, okay, he's about to go. They're getting kills in the back. His sacrifice is in vain, and we just see him make it out with what I'm assuming has to be under 20 health.
Yeah, it was so low, and I think that shell really helped. I think they popped both shells. Because look at the timers on both of them. It looked like Shriek popped his shell first, and as soon as that was down, Spades popped his. So fantastic communication once again on the side of the Legion. But I just have to ask you this: we see crit coming out of Bracking. I mentioned that double kins would just ruin 80's life. Now we're seeing this crit come out of Bracking, so they're only going to have 1 kins if that is what Rodrigo goes into. How do you feel about that?
As most people know, I'm not a big fan of crit. I personally prefer those shred builds. So I'm a bit disappointed. You know, like I was saying, this double Quins, I think is really the way these Mighty Horns still keep a lot of the pressure I was assuming they were going to have this late game. You know, the Cthulhu ults, you got 2 Quins, just get him down. Just roll in. You're reversing the psychology of what I believe Legion's game plan is.
Yeah, well, Legion looks like they have the same game plan as last time. Try for these objectives, grouping up very early and just trying to play the map better. But Mighty Horns, they have lost that lead, but they're staying in this game at 8-2. And now 80s is forced into that descent into madness. Azure is not able to pick up the kill, but Patron ults just a little too far away. The Anvil Adon is up. No way he goes in, right? It forces the blink out of 80s. In my book, that's a massive win. You didn't even have to go in. You just got the blink out of this Cthulhu as well as his ult.
At the same time, though, it makes sure that 80s doesn't die there. You know, 1-0. He's down in the solo farm, but I think that's mainly the clear and the rotations he's been trying to do.
Well, he teleports right back into this fight. It looks like the Legion will be able to pick up that Pyromancer, but will they want the fight afterwards? It doesn't look like it. And now it's a 2.5k gold lead. But is that, or 1.5? I'm sorry. But is that enough? Is that enough?
Honestly, if I'm Legion here, you got 5 grouped up. You see backing over there in that left. You know he's getting that tower regardless. I think you try to make a play for fight here instead of just getting this right one. You got the Treb there. Let the Treb do its job. Try to get a fake. Maybe go for this early fire they were positioning for.
Well, it looks like they will just get this right side tower. So they trade tier 1 towers, but in my personal opinion, the left side tier 1 tower is much more important. But that was already down, so it's like isn't like they could have played for that. So in the end, they keep the gold lead the exact same as it was. But I still don't know. This Mighty Horns late game, it feels like the Legion are on a timer, and I don't feel like they've done enough to keep that timer at a steady, like, where they can feel safe right now.
I'm agreeing with you. I don't know. Everything's just about even. The only real things we see, we see a level hero out of Jaeger. We see 2 out of here on the side of Patron. 1 over here on the side of Neptune, but I think that's about a half level. We have supports about dead even throughout the whole game, and ADCs. We saw Shriek over here have he had that about 2 level lead for a little bit, but now about I'd say half a level lead. I don't think they have the padding for this late game.
I just don't know. Like, we did talk about, you did say they need someone to be 2 or 3 levels ahead. Patron is that 2 level lead right now, almost 2.5, but I don't know. I'm still not feeling confident. I feel like they still haven't done enough because the Mighty Horns, this is the 2nd game in a row. We have seen them fall behind early and fall massively in kills, but they are still keeping it close. And last time they were down almost 8k at this point in the game, and they still won. Now they're only down about 1.5k and have a much better late game team comp. So if I'm the Legion, I'm concerned right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think a lot of it is just going to be how these team fight goes. While the Mighty Horns have been absolutely phenomenal this whole set, in my opinion, on keeping up with this gold, XP for the most part, always making sure they're getting that farm. I do gotta say, I think this game in particular, not so much the first one, I think the team fights are going a lot better for Legion this time around. I think it's really just going to come down to really these comms at this point.
Well, we did see Jaeger teleport in at first, and they know Azur is in that mid lane, but with that Anvil of Dawn, he can be anywhere in this fight at any point in the game. The Oni Fury is started up by the Legion, subsequently dropped when Spades drops down to about 3/4 HP, but 80s goes right in, and he's got his jungler up in the air, but he's falling quickly. In the backline, though, so is Jaeger. A fantastic ultimate out of Spades, traps in Buckwheat, but the Dueling Dragons misses. Jaeger does finally go down, and Buckwheat, unfortunately, walls himself off. That is so sad to see. ADs was able to get out, and he is able to teleporting back in, but the ward is killed. Fantastic play there by Azur. But the Gold Fury they're right back on it. Patron, I don't know if you want that fight. You are feeling very low. But Azur coming in, and they know he's coming in. Oh, a lot of damage coming on to Spades. But Spades will be able to make it out. But that stops them and gets them off of the Gold Fury. Up into the air goes the run, but he's not able to get the kill at all. Spades, or Azur, I'm sorry, is able to get out as well. And I don't think that they're able to do the Gold Fury anymore. Everyone's just too low.
Yeah, they had their opportunity with Shriek being down, but now I think you gotta wait until Shriek gets back up. Jaeger being back up, his TP only 20 seconds. I don't think they have the health to really go for it anymore.
Well, we said you can't really go for it. You've got a double Hunter and a Ymir here, and the Legion, they don't know this is happening. The only one that does, it seems, is 80s, but he's not gonna get here in time. And Oni Fury goes to the Mighty Horns completely uncontested. That just makes Azur's and who was it? I think Bracking's hero play there even better.
Yeah, I mean, I've said at this point. The Mighty Horns just able to get out here, get these objectives, just keep this gold up as they take the gold lead.
They've got a lead.
Yeah, as they take it back once again. Amazing job by the Mighty Horns with this farming and secure.
The Mighty Horns are showing their strength, and they know it. They know how to farm the map even when they are behind on kills. Even when they don't feel like they have pressure anywhere, they know how to farm the map, and it's really just showing. They gave up the Pyromancer there, and they still have the lead, and they're down 10-3. Like, imagine that. How many times have you been down 10-3, and you're up almost 1,000 gold?
Not very often myself. It's actually just insane how the Mighty Horns have been able to do this 2 games in a row now.
Yeah, and the Mighty Horns, they really have just shown up. They took a really unfortunate loss, I believe, in week 1 or week 2. But other than that, they have really just shown up lately, and they've really found their identity. And this game, this set is just proving it. They're taking on the #1 team in their division, and they are staring it down like they're not phased at all. But Rodrigo, he kind of has to be careful there, falling very low. And 80s going right in spades, dashing in as well. And up onto the tree goes Sir Patron.
Oh.
He takes down Rodrigo, takes down Azur. That's a double kill. But Neptune Spartan will fall in the back to Jaeger, and the rest of the team will fall behind. Jaeger will give up his life. He got ulted in timeline again. And instead of giving it to Shriek, he just gives Patron the triple kill. Rom Ultimate is up as well as this Ymir's. So this Fire Giant is not free, but with the crit on this Xbalanque, you know it's gonna be shredded fast.
Yeah, I do think here you see Buckley just getting poked out. He wanted to step up, try to be there for her, but I mean, just Patron and 80s over there just zoning him by himself. Rama ult, but not able, or a bit too soon in my opinion, to go for that. Having no vision. Not really on him, I don't feel.
Yeah, he had no vision. That was what Buckwheat was doing. He was trying to get vision on the Fire Giant, give Bracking at least a chance to steal it, but unfortunately he got pushed away and killed. And this is something that's different than Game 1. So far, it seems like everything had been going the same at Game 1, but this is the big difference. In Game 2, Legion gets the Fire Giant instead of the Mighty Horns, and that's a big difference. As they did have pulled ahead in gold by about 1.5.
Can I say it real quick, Raptor? Can I be that guy?
Sure.
It's the fact that we have more CC than just the ultimates.
Well, I thought that the CC, at least before the ROM was picked up, was even better. Besides the ROM, is even better for the Mighty Horns than it was in Game 1. Like, the Morrigan was great, yes, but CERN brings a lot of really good CC to the table, especially when paired with what the rest of the Mighty Horns team. As much as I love this ROM pick coming into the late game, especially into the Cthulhu, it is lacking on that CC, and I'm very curious if they had picked up a fairly CC-heavy jungler, like, say, the Medusa, for example, how much better they would have fared.
Yeah, I do think a little bit more CC out here. You know, instead of banning the Cupid, maybe just pick up the Cupid.
Well, they didn't know that that Deathly Shriek was going to go the X-Ball, because that was the Legion's last pick. So the Cupid ban is fine in my opinion, but there are a lot better hunters, especially in the current meta, than this. Then this ROM. Azur really feeling the pain right now. 80s goes into the air, as well as Sir Patron, and they're going to take down Azur. 80s is going to feel very hurt from that, but I think he'll be just fine as he does recall. And with that teleport up, he could be right back into this fight and into this tower siege. If you're the Mighty Horns, how do you play this right now?
I think you really got to play off of this Jaeger Buckwheat initiation here, especially like even if they're under tower. If you get off that Jaeger Cabrakan ult, man, I think you can just do so much off of Buckwheat freeze. Like we said multiple times, you know, they got Azur there on the Thor, as we've seen multiple times on Azur with this Thor and just in jungle in general, able to make so many crazy plays happen. We got the double hunter here with Bracken and Rodrigo. If they pull off that combo, I think it's just a GG for anybody that's stuck in that Bracken wall. Although the Phantom Shell did, I believe, was still back up by Spades at that point. I may be wrong.
Well, we talked about the Legion's tower defense last game. How about the Mighty Horns Phoenix defense in this current game, even though we're not going to be seeing a Phoenix defense right now? How do you think they fare against this Legion team?
I think basically what I just said. I think the Mighty Horns have the better defense here, but I do think they also have the better Phoenix offense as well. I think the Legion need to go in here with the plan to maybe get a couple picks before they try to contest anything. Mainly Azure or Jaeger, maybe Buckwheat. One of the three. Just get some of these walls down real quick on the side of the Mighty Horns.
Well, with Fire Giant wearing off in 10 seconds, this very well could be the last Fire Giant that spawns in a minute. And you know, if you're the Mighty Horns, you can't give this up. If you give up this Fire Giant to the Legion, we very well might be going to game number 3. But this team fight, if they even lose it, the Legion might not even need the Fire Giant this late into the game. The Fire Giant will be enhanced also once it spawns. So this is a very important fight coming up.
Yeah, starting that ward setup, if you're the Mighty Horns, everybody hitting level 20 at this point. We see Rodrigo still 19 real quick, working on that Silver Branch instead of whatever upgrade he's going for his starter as well. We see a 1-level lead here on the side of Spades, and everybody else, they're at that point. I think if you're on the side of the Mighty Horns here, you really need to get Patron down or 80s down at this point. You need to take off some of that initiation that we were talking about Legion having. Because I think what's happening here on the side of the Mighty Horns, why they've started to get these team fights going, I feel like they're trying to do the initiating and they're not doing the counterplay. I feel this Kraken on Jaeger
oh no,
tries to shut down this rat when it goes in here. I think bit more. Oh, Bracken really.
Bracken felt the pain there. As soon as he went up into the ult, you just had a feeling he was going to fall. Jaeger is going to fall here as well. That alternate timeline saves him for just a second. But they're going to go right back to this EFG. Azure does still have ult, though, so that is something that they have to look out for. Buckwheat has his ult as well, but he's feeling very low. I doubt he wants to go in on this.
Oh,
80s Azure is up. He's going to go in. A lot of damage done to Neptune Spartan, but is it going to be enough? Azure might just fall. So Patron will fall as well, but Azure's the only one that's left, and Azure's is going to fall. They might just be able to push for the end, but instead they're going to finish up this EFG just to be safe. Maybe I'll reset? No, they are going to push this for this right side tier 1 tower. Uchi, what went wrong in that fight? We were saying this is a fight that Mighty Horns needed to win, but something went wrong.
Two things in my opinion. Bracken, I think, underestimated 80s there on the Cthulhu. I don't know if you saw that in the background there, but him and Patron just able to get off massive damage. 80s able to just get back there, get that ult off, and finish the deal. The other thing, I do not know why Jaeger was where he was at. I don't know if you saw that on the comeback around on the map, but man was kind of down by himself. He was like Ned Stark from the north coming down to King's Landing.
Well, they started to push for that Phoenix, but they got the tectonic shift and said, that's enough. We'll just back up and take what we got now. They still got fire for another 3 minutes, and with this EFG, they can do a lot.
Mm-hmm. If you're a Legion, I like this call, realizing we can't go for the right Phoenix right now. Let's just back up, get the last of these items or, upgrades. We see the Phantom Shell coming out of Street Gang upgrade there. Get all that good stuff that we need to make sure this next fight goes exactly the way we want it.
So, if you're the Mighty Horns here, what are you doing if you're in their shoes? What are you doing to prepare for this Phoenix defense? How do you play it? Because communication seems to have been off in the past few fights, and that's really what's cost them.
I really feel Mighty Horns have the better defense. If they re-huddle here and they are able to just get these comms together, I really think they have the better Phoenix defense here. Even with the CFG, I can see it where they can turn this whole thing around. I do want to say though, I don't know if anybody saw it, Rodrigo in the middle there, just checking your attack speed. It's a hunter thing, but I love moments like this.
It's really important though. Rodrigo has hit level 20, but he hasn't finished building that Silver Branch Bro, or that Death's Embrace is what I'm assuming is gonna be. Could be Death's Temper, but I feel like it's gonna be a Death's Embrace. But he hasn't finished upgrading it yet, so I'm very curious why that is, because it feels like it's very crucial going into this last fight.
I do agree with you, but I think he's going for that Silver Branch. Him being the only Quins on the team is really, like, as we see here, 80's just able to go in. He's not even really looking at bracking. They're working on getting Azure down, getting that Phoenix down. Azure, will he fall? No, he gets out with the Thor Hammer. Good TP there.
It's 1 for none at the moment, but the Phoenix did fall as well, and all the ultimates down across the map. Jaeger, though, doesn't look like he wants to be done, but he's done. He will just retreat. But the Legion, oh my gosh, that's a big win. You lose Sir Patron, but you've got the best Phoenix on the map down right now, and you've got the next Fire Giant almost certainly guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're just living if you're Legion. This whole game's been pretty surprising to me. I mean, we talked about the drafts. We really thought the Mighty Horns were going to just be able to keep this pressure all the way around this game, but it's been the opposite. Legion out here coming swinging strong.
I get the feeling that you and I just need to stop making predictions, because each game we've been wrong.
No, wait. The ones, chat. If you can hear, if you can hear us, whatever we say in P's and B's, just know the opposite is typically, I guess, going to be what's happening.
That's the easy way to play it, right? But don't take us to Vegas just so we can tell you what not to bet on, right?
Yeah, whatever. That opposite of whatever we bet on is what you guys don't want to play. Or what you guys want to play.
Well, Fire Giant has officially fallen off of the Legion, and in 30 seconds the dance once again begins. And I'm very curious to see. The Legion has been the one that has really gone first. They've really forced these fights on top of the Mighty Horns, and I think that's what's really turning this against the Mighty Horns and making them falter. If you're the Mighty Horns, I think that you need to be the ones who engage these fights.
I really think it's more like I said, Jaeger being out of position in that last fight. I think if you wait till Patron goes up with this ult, right? Because you can't stop 80s on the Cthulhu ult. Wait till Patron lands and he goes on Bracking or Azure, one of your two other your damage dealers. I think if you make it to where he can't get his job done on this rat, I think it turns the whole fight around for the side of the Mighty Horns here.
Well, 80s goes up into that descent into madness, but he's taking a lot of damage. In fact, the health bars on the side of the Mighty Horns are looking better, and Sir Patron will be the first one to fall. But Buckwheat and Rodrigo go down simultaneously. A massive shield coming on this in the rescue of Deathling Shriek. Where the heck did that shield come from? Hero's Axe. It was Hero's Axe that saves Deathling Shriek.
That's actually kind of insane. How long is the cooldown on that? Every 8 seconds. Oh, that's actually kind of insane there.
And it's 15% of your maximum health.
How much is 80's rocking right now?
Well, when he goes into the ultimate, it's probably close to 4K. So that's why the shield was so massive, and that's the only reason Deathly Shriek survives there. I was going to bring up the Hero's Axe earlier, but it never came up. Now it does.
Oh, Bracking making a step up.
Yeah, Bracking
by himself.
Bracking looking to possibly try and steal this, but without his ultimate, I don't know what he was thinking. He's forced to use his beads, and he's just going to fall here. The Dueling Dragon seals his fate, though 80s is the one that picks it up. Poor positioning there from Bracking, and now this right side Phoenix, the left side Phoenix respawns, but this right side Phoenix is just gone. There's nothing stopping them from taking this right side Phoenix. You can only delay the inevitable. Buckwheat taking a bit of damage as well as Spades. And they're not going to go for the end, actually. I wonder how big of a difference Patron not having this EFG is going to make. Buckwheat missing the freeze there, but Patron, he has been their initiation. He's 10-3, but he hasn't had... Oh, 80s! 80s, no! 80s, no!
If you're 80s, you're a bit upset right now. I think he got that back off before he TP'd back in.
Yeah, you are upset, but you're taking it out on Rodrigo, and then Patron comes in and steals your kill. The alternate timeline saving a Jaeger once again for only a second. A lot of damage coming out of Deathly Shriek, but that will not be enough to save Azure. The middle Phoenix will fall. All that's left is Buckwheat and Bracking. Bracking went up into the air very early on, got a little bit of poke damage, but the defense is not going to be a success, and we're going to game number 3. The Legion will take down the Mighty Horns in game number 2.
That was, I mean, I just got to stand by the statement we had about Vegas. Don't listen to what we say in P's and B's, guys. Just think the opposite. Absolutely crazy. Well played comms there, I think, on the side of Legion. Mighty Horns still just demonstrating how they're able to keep up in that gold for a long time.
Yeah, Mighty Horns, they were doing so well. We were praising them for how well they drafted for the late game comp, but now here they are, and they really just didn't perform in the late game, despite keeping it so close. And I'm just so curious as to what happened. I want to know what the plan was inside those comms.
Yeah, I gotta say, at least from the outside looking in, it just looks like the Mighty Horns just weren't communicating as well as Legion was that game. I really like comp wise, I feel they should have won. It was pretty surprising to me.
Yeah, it really was. But we talked about what the Legion needed to fix, and they really fixed it going into game number 2, and I'm very impressed. And now it's the Mighty Horns' turn to fix stuff going into game number 3. And I'm very curious, what do you think they need to fix?
I think they need to... if they got that pressure, try to make a bit more of it. I feel, despite their farming abilities being able to keep them up, I feel they realized they had pressure there. I feel they were playing a bit more passive than they should have in the early. I feel if they get ahead, they take that whole game just under their control.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens in game number 3. I know you guys are as well. This is the Mighty Horns versus the Legion, and it's the game. The matchup is living up to the hype. We will see you all in game number 3.
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our clouds when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when like a bass guitar. Simmer down and mess me up. Tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. And I drive me around in your red Ford. Shivers down my spinal cord. Oh, 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 oh. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word. 'Cause you got me holding,
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out. 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 Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no one-
Yes, set of the week here, in my opinion, going into this game, battle for the top spot here in Shallows, and you know, this set has just turned out to be a good like all out box in my opinion. Game one going very smoothly for the Mighty Horns. Game two coming back, Legion answering, saying we ain't going down for a 2-0. As we get into
I
game
will
three
leave
here, though,
standing
we see
no
that Mulligan
barrier
band
to
first off
our
again. We saw the
success.
double Thor that game one. The Khepri Ishtar again. We got that Emoja Guan and Hades, the same three once again for the Mighty Horns.
So I don't know why OBS keeps muting me whenever I switch scenes. But the crowd just missed that entire intro scene. Hi, and because you missed it, welcome back to game number 3 between the Legion and the Mighty Horns. I'm still Raptor, he's still Uchi, and this is still a fantastic set. As Uchi said, we're seeing pretty much the same bands, except we're seeing the Ishtar trade out for, what was that band in game 1? I cannot remember.
It was
what
Ravana. Both
It was
games, I believe.
Ravana, you're right. Why do we see the Ishtar band this time? Why do we see the switch up?
Maybe they're playing something, and maybe Ishtar's the counter to that. I'm not exactly sure here. We see the Cthulhu locked in for Jaeger over here. Don't want to give that back to 80s.
Woo! I'm
Ooh,
sorry.
That's spicy.
How about we talk a little bit? Merlin. I think I've seen him played once in the past 5-6 months, and suddenly he's second pick for the Mighty Horns. When we said that they needed to change something up, they really changed it up.
Merlin here, he is good for these objective shreds still, and late game, he's just a lot of damage, a lot of area control as well. Pairing it with this Cthulhu that's just going to be able to make it where you can't really get behind him in the jungle unless you get something to answer it with. That's actually pretty dangerous. I like this start over here on the side of the Mighty Horns.
Yeah, but we're seeing another late game comp out of the side of the Mighty Horns, and while game 1 it worked out in their favor because they didn't fall too far behind, game 2 was a very similar story. I thought that they had a better late game team comp, and they still fell very short. And now, especially with this Yu Hong being locked in, it really seems like they are just just running it back on the side of the Legion, at least as far as they can. And does the Mighty Horns have the answer to that?
Last game we saw in game 2, the Legion really pulled together, got their comms together, and they knew what they wanted. They went out there, in my opinion. I really do feel the Mighty Horns had the better draft that game. They just went out there with those comms, made plays together as a team. I feel going off what we've seen so far, if they're able to do that again, they can't run back the Cthulhu this game, but 2 of the same members from the last top 3 as well. I think maybe if they there's the rat again. 3 of the same 5 from game 2. If they can keep that same synergy from game 2, maybe good for them here.
So let's talk mid laners. We've talked a lot about the junglers, the solos, the duo laners. We haven't talked much about the mid laners. This Yu Hong Neptune Spartan piloted it with a passion last game. He looked so good on this Yu Hong. How does he fare into Merlin? This is a matchup I haven't seen much at all.
I think, at least from my experience, again, I say it every stream, but I'm not much of a mage player. But to my understanding, Merlin's he's fully mainly late game, and this Yu Hong I feel gets online more so about that mid late game. I feel he's just got he's got the better poke for these fights and trades in the early, because Merlin don't got that cooldown yet. So I gotta give the early mid game definitely to Neptune over here. But whatever happens over here for Rodrigo, I think late game he can still come back and answer for it. But the Athena here, I do question. You mentioned it every game now. Still no warrior lock in for either team.
Yeah, and Buckwheat has been playing really well. Kind of fell off in that second game, but I say that he wasn't allowed to play in that second game. But in that first game, he really was the unsung hero. So I was about to make a joke about the Hunters, being all the bans. And then the Legion goes and bans Humdats. And it completely ruined the joke. So I'm not going to say it anymore. And now everyone's just going to have to wonder, hey, what was that joke, Raptor? Guess what? You're not getting it. But we see a Hunter picked up, at least hovered, in this 4th slot. We see Uchi's boy, or Uchi's girl, I'm sorry, Charybdis. Go on your rant. Just go on your rant.
All right. This is personal bias. It should in no way, shape, or form be taken as serious. And please remember, I am a gold player. Charybdis best hunter in the game, though.
Ionicus, you don't need to bring that clip out. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to talk to chat, but Ionicus, keep that clip in your pants, man. But Charybdis, a fantastic and safe hunter. I always think it's hilarious. Charybdis is considered to be the most, the safest hunter in the game right now. I remember a time when it was like Jingwei's your safety, and then after that, everything's risky. Now, Jingwei is the 3rd safest hunter, because of 2 hunters that came out within a year and a half of each other, and I just find that hilarious.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I do agree with you on that. Achilles getting locked in along with the Hyo-Yi over here. Personally, I think Hyo-Yi is a strong pick into Charybdis. The chase down really being Charybdis's main flaw. You get a god that can keep up with her if she ults or threes and just burst her down once the 3's out, basically. Hyo-Yi being a god able to do that. And also, Achilles, good into Cthulhu, got that execute.
I don't know why, but when I look at this Legion draft, and I don't think of ignore the Ratatasker. If I ignore the Ratatasker and I think about this Legion draft, it just screams Jade Dragons to me. Doesn't it? Like, Panda Cat is known for his Hyo-Yi. Ganesh is one of PBM's signatures. Pagon has looked fantastic on the Yu Hong. Achilles, I always associate with, what's his name? Fine-OK. Ratasker's the black sheep. If that was like a Pele, I would say that this is Keen, Jade Dragon's drafting.
I
But
do agree with you on that.
Take pleasure in the crushing
Well, I
of
do
one's
find
enemies.
crazy here. We see Shriek and 80s switching back lanes yet again. But the other thing I do want to point out real quick, we see Azure getting this Ravana. For those of you that know Azure, Ravana, very strong pick for him.
yeah, and we've been seeing it banned out top 3. It was the 3rd ban slot. They traded out for that Ishtar this time, but
Yep.
they were obviously scared of this Ravana coming out of Azure for a reason. Now it's time to see if it really lives up to the name and deserved those 3 bans.
Yeah, crazy thing too is, like we said, top 3 bans, both the first games. Again, at very last pick here in game 3.
Yeah, and I'm now.
Oh, yes.
Why? Okay. So I'm gonna talk real quick, and I'm gonna go on a little rant. OBS randomly mutes my microphone, and I have no idea why it happens or when it happens. I just looked over at OBS because I was about to change the scene, and I see my microphone's muted, and I'm like, how long have I been talking? And I've just been no noise has been coming out onto stream. It really upsets me, but we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about Smite, and let's talk about the jungles. Actually, we started to talk about the Ravana. And I mentioned the Rathaskar and Patron looked really good in game 2, but how do you feel about Patron versus Azure in this matchup?
It's like I said, Azure got his Ravana. We've seen it be respect banned twice now. And to get it very last in the final game for game 3. I mean, we saw Patron go absolutely wild on this rat. But Azure's known for this Ravana. I'm actually really curious, just like you, to see how this goes.
Yeah, and when I think about Ravana, I think early pressure and easy dive. When I think of Rat, I don't necessarily think about early pressure, but I think of even easier dive, thanks to that through the Cosmos. So, when it comes to team fighting, who do you think really has the edge between these two junglers?
In the team fight, now keep in mind, this is corresponding to the comps, right? I think Azure's Ravana goes harder because they have the Cthulhu Athena, right? And then you got the Merlin just kind of control the space, and then I mean Charybdis, she slices and dices. I praise Charybdis every time she comes in into one of the sets.
Yeah, that's why I said go on your
you're there.
rant. That's why I said go on your rant as soon as it was locked in. I know you love this pick, but going into a Ho Yi and especially a Ganesh, which so far has really just been detrimental to this Charybdis. Are you still feeling comfortable with your Charybdis in this matchup?
Like I had said, Hyo-Yi is one of the counter picks I feel into her. Ooh, that knockup.
Ooh, with Patron, the Maw is down now. Oh, but the stun missed from Patron. He is still on the attack. Bracken falling very low, and Bracken's gonna fall. 80s returning to the duo lane, getting first blood. That is the first time 80s has had first blood. Both times it has been on the side of Deathly Shriek, getting first blood in the games. Now it's 80s for the first time.
He's coming back over. He's like, hey man, I had to go take a trip when we had Cthulhu, but I'm back over here now, and this is gonna be my lane this game.
Yeah, and speaking of Deathly Shriek, going back over to this duo lane, picking up this Achilles, which has a really good matchup into the Cthulhu. That execute just basically ruins everything that Cthulhu wants to do. But are you still feeling confident? Because you got out to a really good lead, especially you yourself in game number 1. And now you're back over in the solo lane where in the end it didn't really matter and your opponent really just prospered in the end.
I think this solo lane we're gonna have to let cook a little bit. We're gonna have to see how that really goes, because we see the Cthulhu Jaeger this time, opting instead of how 80s went, he's opting for this conduit gem, so he's getting this wave clear pressure. I think I'm gonna have to let my opinion over there cook and brew for just a little bit longer. What is impressive to me over here though is 80s once again making Bracking back to back. Bede's still down, just able to punish him very strongly. Bracking staying that level 2 as of right now as well.
Yeah, whenever I watch the Legion, 80s and the Hog securing that purple buff, fantastic job saving it by Buckwheat. But when I think of the Legion, and this is in no offense to any of the other players, but I always think of the of 80s and of Deathly Shriek, because it seems like every time they win, those two players are really popping off. Last game, Neptune Spartan on this Yu Huang really carried his own weight and really led to his team to a victory. And so I'm excited to see if it's the same way. And so far with how 80s is playing, if it is, that's really scary for the Mighty Horns.
Yeah, I also want to quote something you had said earlier. I think it was when we had the mic prom. I'm not exactly sure, but the Legion kind of favoring more like a dragon type vibe. And when I think dragons, I think Panda Cat and Final K and those outer lanes holding their own, doing their own thing. While in mid lane, you got Scream, you got Pagon, and you got PBM just kind of, zoning the rest of the map, making sure, getting the game plan down of what's going to be happening. But these outer lanes really on Legion just setting really the pace of the game, I feel, for them.
Yeah, it really is, which is funny to say considering that Deathly Shriek is behind at the moment. But we know that Achilles, not so much a wave clearer. So that conduit gem especially is really going to help Jaeger set himself up very nicely in this lane, because Achilles wants to box. What does Cthulhu want to do? Farm. What does Conduit Gem allow him to do? Out farm an Achilles. Hey, you love it.
So Raptor, as
Yes.
a solo, I have a question here for you. How do you feel about this Soul Eater start still being a thing?
I'm not a fan of it, especially on Achilles. I can see why you would go it, but I think the heyday has passed on the build. In my personal opinion, I would have loved to see maybe a Genji's in that slot of a blink in by Patron, but the Guardian of Olympus coming through from Buckwheat, and he will be right here to defend this purple buff through the Cosmos coming out. And it looks like they're going to try and engage onto Buckwheat, and a lot of CC, a lot of damage coming out, but he will survive the Dharmic Pillars coming out just to make sure Azure doesn't get any funny ideas, and they will be able to secure this purple buff in the end. That's yet another purple buff invade successful for the Legion.
Bracken gang, I've done that myself there. Charybdis thing, man. You throw your 2 on somebody because you're like, hey, man, that was supposed to be my purple buff.
Yeah, it's very annoying. You and me both know this as Hunter players. It's very annoying when your purple buff gets stolen. Like, solos love their blue buff, and when their blue buff gets stolen, they yell at their jungler. If your purple buff gets stolen, you are just sitting in Fountain AFK in the rest of the game. That's a joke. Please don't do that if you are in my game, or I will report you.
This is ADC main here talking. Not all of us are little wine babies. Thank you. Please put some respect.
Hey, I'm not. I'm talking about the randoms that I run into during my games.
That's fair. You do get some of those.
Yeah, like solos will whine. Solos will whine about their blue buff getting taken, but they will still play. ADCs, a single purple buff gets stolen, and you don't see them for the rest of the game until you back.
The little invade meta PBM kind of brought back, where like Mojo will go for purple at first, or you get like an Arachne that will go and triple spider your purple.
Ooh, the Scorpion gets actually stolen by the Mighty Horns there, and Buckwheat will pay for it. Yeah, that's not first blood, that is second blood actually. Goes to the Legion yet again, and yet again, it's Neptune Spartan getting this Yu Huang just that little bit of head. And with that Book of Thoth, I didn't even notice that he went it in game number 2. Compared to this Warlock staff, I think I like it better in the mid lane. I know I was talking about earlier in game 1 between the Kabrakan and the Jing, but the differences between the two. In the mid lane, I definitely think, personally, that the Hugh Wong uses the Book of Thoth better than Merlin uses the Warlock Staff.
I think Warlocks, I brought this up game 1 myself. I think Warlocks is a bit more for when you need that survivability, that health, stack up. I think, you see Neptune here going that Book of Thoth. I think he's just going for that damage. He wants to get that burst off he was getting off that last game 2.
Yeah. I didn't even mention it, Dueling Dragons actually comes out, so that's a lot of safety from this relatively safe god. Now he still has his 3. He still has his beads, so he's not hurting that much. But that Dueling Dragons being down, that's a pretty long cooldown in the early game, and that's just a little bit of CC immunity stripped from you. So Athena gets a taunt on you a couple times, and you have to be scared if you're Neptune Spartan. But like I said, the 3 and the beads he should be fine.
Yeah, something else I want to point out, just a little bit of a weird thing I've noticed. Book of Thoth, can't really see the numbers right now, whereas you look at Warlocks and you see them pretty clearly.
Yeah, the white on white doesn't really sit very well, but I can tell 37 stacks to 21 stacks. Sir Patron getting caught out by his own back camps, and now it looks like they were trying to gank Deathly Shriek, but he was already back in base. There's nothing coming from that little rotation there. They do get that little... Is that Scorpion? Is that like a little small Scorpion there?
Yeah, because the Naga was originally moved just to dual lane, so yeah, they're just Scorpions now on solo lane.
Well, Gold Fury is being pulled. Bracken does have ultimate, but the Dueling Dragons should be enough to secure it, and it will be. A lot of ultimates coming down just to secure that. Bracken does go into the Maw, and he will be able to get out just fine. But that first Gold Fury goes right to the Legion, but they still have a very minor lead. Like, they're up 2 kills. They just got a Gold Fury. They're still only up 250 gold, give or take.
We pointed this out every game this set so far. The Mighty Horns, they are good at maintaining this golden farm, no matter what is happening to them. I mean, what was it? Game 1 that I can't remember. Was it
game 1? They were down. They were down. What was it? It was like 11-3, and
I think it's like 11-1.
Was it 11-1? It was something close to that, and they did bring it back. They were only down like 1 or 2k gold, and that ended up winning them the game. Now they're going to lose the Pyromancer as well. But before this Pyromancer even goes down, they had a lead. They brought the lead back, and now the lead is still only 150. What are the Mighty Horns doing to farm this well?
I don't know. I think that's perfect example of teams just knowing their timers right there. I mean, I had said it last game.
Well, we were just talking about farming very well. The Scorpion gets stolen right there by Spades. Very unfortunate, but yeah.
Game 1, we were talking about how the Mighty Horns had really good objectives here. They were able just to secure almost any objective, even if they didn't start it. That's kind of surprising to see Ganesh able to secure the Scorpion there from the Mighty Horns.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't mean to bring any bad blood towards anyone, but was it the Mighty Horns just having good objective secure, or Neptune Spartan on that Vulcan not having good enough secure?
Oh, that is actually a fair question. We did see quite a few Earthshakers.
Earthshakers, yes.
Yep. We saw quite a few of them missed in that game for that security. That was pretty rough with those Earthshakers.
Ooh, Spades getting caught out a bit here. Oh, a great taunt to keep him inside his own. Dharmic Pillars. Oh no, the up down with the Mystic Rush. It doesn't hit anyone. And just like that, all of them will get out. Azure does want Spades to fall, but doesn't look like anything's gonna happen. Oh, Patron! He will go straight down onto Azure, and he will pay for it with his life, but in comes 80s. 80s doesn't want to let this kill go, but Spades will be the one that fall instead. Neptune Spartan will finally pick up Azure, and Buckwheat will fall on the back thanks to the executes, and just like that, it's a 2 for 2.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. They get the 2 kills. They were able to retake the lead yet again, despite the goal and the pyro, like we had talked about, and then just able to get that rotation there and turn that fight around, making it 2 for 2. Still barely just in the lead by still like 200 gold. Mighty Horns once again showing that despite anything that happens, we are staying in this gold war.
I really want to know what is going on with the Mighty Horns, why they're so good at keeping it close, because they are losing the pick game. Almost in every single game, they have been down. When the clock hits 20 minutes, they're down 5 or 6, or in game 1's case, 10 or 11 kills. And here they are, and yet they still kept it close every single game. That's just their identity. 80s really wants to go in, mistimes the Maw on Bracking. But over in the right, it looks like they're a bit pinched. Our Patron and Deathly Shriek. Patron will make it out just fine alongside Deathly Shriek. Ooh, he actually takes a bit of poke damage there. And just like that, it will be a full-on disengage. And so if you're looking at the map and the map state right now, where are you focusing for both teams? Where are you focusing your aggression? Because so far, both teams have been focusing on those right mid harpies this entire game.
If you're me right now, personally, I would be calling. Okay, this is gonna be a bit weird. I think you get Fire Giant ward up, and you get some more wards over here by gold. Try to grab this Oni Fury. I think whoever gets his Oni Fury is going to be able to make a bigger play towards gold. Ooh, Spades getting poked out Bracking getting hit by Dueling Dragons there as well.
Yes.
I think this Gold Fury is going to be the deciding factor who's going to have pressure for this fire, honestly.
Well, the Oni Fury spawns, and I won't say it's a dance just yet, although all 5 of the Legion are here, and they instantly start it. Spades is looking a bit worse for wear, so they do have to be careful. But on the backside, Azure gets caught out, and he takes so much damage, but the descent into Madness goes straight up, and the Legion do pick it up, but Spades will be the one to fall. 80's falling very low. They don't want to let this go, but instead they will turn to Neptune Spartan, who is also very low. Is he able to get out, though? It looks like he just might be. A great shell might just be able to save him. No, it won't. Neptune Spartan immediately falls to Jaeger, and Jaeger will be able to get the double kill by picking up Patron right there. Deathly Shriek caught between 4, taking a lot of damage, and that will be a 4 for none. However, the Gold Fury did go to the Legion, but the Mighty Horns, they officially pick up a lead, and a 1.5k lead at that.
Like I had said, Mighty Horns, I do favor their draft for this late game, and in that team fight, able to kind of showcase why. Once they get these items online too, they're going to be able to shred even faster than they did. That fight, just completely, they were like, okay, you guys can have that gold, but we're just going to hit you while you secure that gold. We're not even going to contest you for it. I just think that was worthy, or not worthy, I'm sorry. I think that was a very good play overall by them. Able to get that pyro as well, even enhance further this gold lead that, honestly, I really feel Legion should have been way further ahead in gold this whole game. Just showcasing again that map farm that the Mighty Horns have.
Look at that. Look at the graph. Look at that graph. Play all the Nickelback you want. Look at that graph.
Look at this gold.
Look how even it is. Despite we know that Legion had pressure basically all around the map, they kept it even, and then as soon as that Gold Fury fight goes down, look at the drop. You can even see the little jump from when they picked up Gold Fury, and then instantly it has all been the Mighty Horns, and that's just the strength of this team. That's their identity. They are very bend, but don't break. Because it doesn't matter what you do, kill the death-wise, they will beat you in the farm game. And look at this, Jaeger has a 3-level lead.
You know, that's something I actually want to bring up. You know, we've talked about how the Legion kind of looks like the Dragon in some ways. I want to say I think the Mighty Horns kind of look like the Camelot Kings. Just that micro play is just incredible.
I'm so glad you brought the Kings. I thought you were about to say the Bolts, and I'm like, no, they're not the Bolts. They're definitely the Kings. Azur though, looking a lot like Captain Twig because he's in the gray screen. Deathly Shriek. Fallen very low though, thanks to that descent into madness. They will be able to get out though. No one falling, but besides Azur, and that's a very good pick if you're the Legion to sort of stop the bleeding. But it doesn't take much for the Mighty Horns to just open that wound right back up.
Yep. You know, I do have a question for you here too. I mean, we've seen it. We saw it banned game 1. We saw it picked up and done very well by 80s game 2. Now we're seeing it over here on the side of Jaeger going 4-0. Is Cthulhu just that much of a threat? And
80s does the up down and it works.
Oh, that was a good get out.
Okay, Uchi, I know you're trying to make a point and ask me a question. Please break down why did 80s up downing there work?
You know, I really don't know because we saw that first tick that his ult hit, but that's Burton a bit in trouble. That was a nice play, but I don't think it's going to be enough to go get him out here, and it will not. Rodrigo picking up that kill, but you know, I just think that play over there with 80s. Oh, Shriek getting caught out now as well. This is what I was talking about, the side for the Mighty Horns here. Descent into Madness going down. Ult being chased out there by Deathly Shriek. Will he fall? Oh, yes, he will. That's probably going to be a fire call there.
Yeah, Deathly Shriek really... they really just did the full sweep. They caught 80s out over there by gold. Then they killed Neptune in mid, and then they caught Shriek over by fire. They really just did the full sweep of the map and took pressure back for themselves on the map. But to answer your question a little bit earlier, Cthulhu just brings such a presence to this game, to this map. And, you know, you normally see like the Achilles, the Nemesis, the Cabrakan, those kind of gods to sort of slow him down. But in 2 games now, in game number 2, we saw 80s pilot this Cthulhu into a Cabrakan and did really well. And now we're seeing Jaeger pilot this Cthulhu into an Achilles and do really well. So I'm not honestly sure. I think that they're just playing this game, this character, really, really well despite the counter matchups.
Interesting thoughts. You know, I've been seeing a lot more Cthulhu for a little bit now, and I agree with you 100%. The presence this brings. You know, we see 80s over here, though. He sees that they are on this primal theory.
He sees that they're on the primal for you. And what else he sees? Half his health gone because Azur just does that much damage. Oh, the conduit gem really proccing onto 80s. And he's getting run down now. Shriek trying to peel for him, but Azur just does not care. The Gold Fury does go down in favor of the Mighty Horns. But Azur... he was able to get out, but the fight is not done. Now Shriek caught between a rock and a hard place, and Cthulhu is one big hard place to get caught behind. The descent into madness comes out, and they are still going. Azur falling very low, and he just might get executed. Oh, a great overhead kick gets him out. The Neptune will still pick him up, but it will not matter. It's still a 2 for none, or 2 for 1, I'm sorry, or 3 for 1, I'm sorry, in favor of the Mighty Horns. They were diving that Phoenix and they still had a tier 1 tower up. Are you kidding me?
You know, it's not reflecting in the KD right now, but this is what I was talking about. Anybody that's seen this, or seen Azur play Ravana before knows that it's one of his better gods, man. Like, this is why it was banned game 1 and game 2. The amount of pressure he was just able to make. We saw it, him going able to half health 80s there just instantly.
Well, now this is a strange position. Normally in this stage, we're talking about the Mighty Horns have a gold lead, but the Legion have a kill lead. The Mighty Horns have a gold lead and a kill lead now. And if you're the Legion, You see the XP difference as well. A level in a level in duo, 11 in support, a level in mid, and 3 levels in solo. What are you saying in those comms? What are you doing to keep yourselves in this game at this moment?
I really think at this point, I really think the majority of the, I mean, we see it on the player damage as well, my opinion here, but I really think we gotta protect Neptune Spartan. He had done phenomenal in this Yu Hong last game, and I really think he's being the main contributor to this game to try to get things done. I think we just need to be there, make sure he stays safe on these engagements from Azure.
Well, they get the Pyromancer pretty much for free. The taunt onto Deathly Shriek, not really going to do much, as they back up. And so we saw on that fight, in the entire fight, Patron just did a split push in the mid lane. Did get that tier 1 tower, but didn't really get much more for it. I'm curious, how different would that fight have looked if Patron was actually there? Or was it a good idea for him to split push there?
Just get a little bit of pressure, get that farm, because like we were saying, now Patron up, I'm assuming about half a level. I didn't really catch it, but
I think he's still behind half a level now. Because I think Ravana does hit level 19 first.
I don't know. Azure just hit level 18. Patron was 18 when I looked down.
Well, they're fighting back and forth. They have equal XP per minute. Well, what's not equal is Bracking getting stunned right in that fire and flames. And the Maw keeps him from getting executed, and he will be able to get out. Now Shriek is in a bad position, and oh my gosh, no damage is coming out onto this Cthulhu into the Descent into Madness, but 80s is able to take down Rodrigo, but Deathly Shriek falls in the background. Neptune Spartan does take down his Sir. It's just back and forth. One falls on one team, and then someone falls on the other team. Jaeger does eventually get shut down, but that's 5 deaths in one game, in one fight. That's half the field, 3 for 2.
Yeah, that fight just going in. You saw 83 in there, get that fight all started. Able to get that pick, really making use of this Odibo here that he had just picked up. Able to back and get that 100 cal upgrade as well.
Well, Bracking has to be careful here. So does Spartan, because that's a lot of damage that could be coming from either way. Spades is here, though, so I think Spartan can feel a little more comfortable about his team. They're starting the Fire Giant, knowing that Buckwheat and Bracking are around. Bracking's sort of backed off, though, so it's only really Buckwheat here. Bracking's just now coming back to this fight. The Fire Giant really isn't going down quickly. A triple taunt, but there's no follow-up. Bracking is just in the back, and now Buckwheat, he's very close to falling now because of it, and he very well might be. The Execute comes out, and Shriek gets the kill, but the Fire Giant pull stops, and this reminds me so much of game number 1. The Legion would start a fight, someone on the Mighty Horns would die, but it would be just enough to keep them from completing the objective. And if you remember back to game 1, that is what won them the game in the end.
Yeah, we also do see, some of the starters getting upgraded here on the side of the Mighty Horns. I mean, I've said it before, I think their late game's going to be a bit better, as Legion is a little bit back in control of things, but Shriek half health there just off a few autos in that Merlin too.
Yeah, that's just late game. Oh, Jaeger falling very low before he even gets into the big boy form, and on the backline goes Azure. He's taking a lot of damage, but he's dealt out a lot either way. But he wasn't able to get the kill. He's going to be the only one to fall though, and boy, my oh my, here we are again. No one able to do the Fire Giant. Everyone recalling.
I just want to say, Azure got in there, was fighting 4 people, still had them all low, and they all had to group up that man down.
That's just Ravana, though. Like, we've all seen what Lono's Mask Ravana can do. He doesn't have any defense, but it's still Ravana.
Don't bring that back up, please. Oh my god. That was a torturous time in Smite.
I loved it. I didn't like. Okay, I will say this. I would rather face the Lono's Mask Ravana at the time than Lancelot at the time.
No, I'd rather deal with the Lance.
Really?
I swear to God.
You'd rather deal with that broken god that's impossible to run right away from.
When I am a late game hunter and I am hitting a Ravana for 63 while he can literally like quarter my health every time he gets full combo, no, I am not having fun. Give me the Lance. At least I'm getting 2 shot. I put a different fight.
Well, Buckwheat goes in to try and stop them from doing the fire. This Patron falls in the background, but finally, Jaeger goes in, and the Descent into Madness, he's chasing down 80s, and Space is just trying to get to his Hunter, but Jaeger's trying to do everything he can to stop it, and Azure will just delete 80s from the map. Now Spades is all alone dealing with 2, and he's gonna fall. And just like that, 4 are down on the side of the Legion. And what was that?
Almost 5. Do you see Shriek's health there?
It was very low, yes, but it wasn't gonna be enough. Oh, he's teleporting in. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Where does he go? What's he gonna do? The Fire Giant's burning quickly. He doesn't have Blink.
Can he make it?
Or he does have Blink, I'm sorry. He tries to go in, but it's not gonna matter. He doesn't get the kill, and now he is caught out. This very well is the end of him. He won't get the Fire Giant. He won't take it off of anyone. He does force them to finish it before Buckwheat can spawn, though. And he did buy enough time that Patron and Spartan are up as well. So they do have a little bit of hope for defense.
All right. I do want to bring this up, too, because this is a situation we had a few weeks ago. All right, so we see it's not EFG yet, right? You still got 1 T1 up in mid. You still got all 3 T2s up. I think if Legion plays a good defense here, the worst they lose is all towers, and then they can still be there for that next EFG fight. They just got to play safe this next couple of minutes.
That's the worst they can do? That's the worst that can happen to them? Losing all 4 of their towers?
If they play safe, I'm not saying.
Oh, you're saying that's the worst. I had it backwards. I thought you were saying that's the best thing that can happen to them. And I'm like, wait, that's the best that can happen? What's the worst? But no, I agree. I agree. I don't think that this is an end call, by any means, unless they get a full-on wipe in the very first team fights while they still have like 2 minutes of their Fire Giant left. I don't think that they can hope to end off this FG. This is really just preparing for the next FG. Yep. But if you're the Legion, you can see they're very spread out here, and to be fair, so are the Mighty Horns. We see a bit of a grouping by both teams on that left side, but what are you hoping to do? How is your defense if you're the Legion?
If you're a Legion, I think you really just gotta play off this poke that you see that ADs and Neptune have been able to provide most of this game. I think you really just have to stay behind them, man. I mean, if we can get the damage numbers back up too real quick, I think that still main 2 damage coming from the side of Legion. Although Streak, I was not aware he was that close to ADs and damage. But I really think you just gotta play off the Yu Hong poke more than anything on these defenses right now.
Well, Buckwheat certainly felt that Yu Hong poke, as well as Jaeger. Look at the damage that he is doing to that Cthulhu, given that it is without Descent into Madness. Speaking of the devil, it really is the devil for this team. The Mystic Rush eliminates Spades, but Azure falls in trade, and Jaeger falling very low in that Descent into Madness, and they will just back off for the moment. That's a win. However, that Trebuchet, someone does have to deal with it, and just like that, immediately they go onto this left side Phoenix, and oh, Neptune gets deleted. Jaeger teleports back in, and that very well could spell doom for this left side Phoenix, so it's not falling nearly as quickly as I think they were hoping it would. Bracking is going to get the kill onto Patron, but Shriek trades it out. Both of the members of the Legion are very low now. Azure just trying to survive. Instead, he'll turn it around onto Buckwheat, and Shriek will survive as well. However, that left side Phoenix is going to fall in the end. Valiant effort by the boys on Legion, but it just wasn't enough to save that Phoenix.
This is what I was talking about too. Best case scenario was all the towers, but there we do see Mopti let that Treb and Azure push up that middle lane, get that middle tower, and then just try to get that left Phoenix. Really try and make sure they have this most important Phoenix down for when the CFG is about to spawn here in a few.
Now, if you're the Legion, we were just talking about what they should do before that fight. Now we're after the fight. Now we see the after effects. We did see that they took down 2, but hey, they also lost 3 in that fight and their Phoenix. What is your game plan going into this next FG?
Really, right now, I just from the gold difference from all these objectives that the Mighty Horns have been able to get, I think you got to be able to get Spades to be able to get a little bit more items. I think he's contributing very nicely to the team. But if you look over on the side of Buckwheat right now, I mean, you pointed it out. He's kind of a silent hero of this Mighty Horns team over here. Keeping up in gold, and just look at the item disparity right now. Already at like tier 2, I'm assuming breastplate for the cooldown. I think also, you got to play off this Neptune poke like I was talking about.
Yeah, well, Neptune's playing the fire god, not the water god, not the god of the sea. And I'm sorry for anyone who didn't get that joke. But ignoring that, going back into this game, the Fire Giant spawns right now as we see the meteor crash down and the dance starts. Although it's less of a dance and more of a, hey, I'm going to push you back. Are you going to push back?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it since the beginning of the game. It's like, oh, that damage though. But since the beginning of the game, once this Mighty Horns team got to late game, I really think they're just going to be able to just do most of this fighting on their call. Like, things are going to be on their terms. As we see here, is they're just poking. They're not even going for the CFG right now. They're just trying to get the Legion as low as they can before this fight even starts.
You want to talk about poke, though? Both teams are really taking a lot of poke. 80s especially. I'm pretty sure he just got hit with 1 or 2 ticks from Rodrigo's Void Stance, and he fell very low. Spartan, look at the damage just that Cthulhu does to him. That's a lot of damage coming out. I can only imagine once that Descent into Madness comes out. And once again, speak of the devil, the Mighty Horns pick up the Fire Giant, and immediately Azure goes onto the backline, gets a double kill, and now Deathly Shriek just caught in the middle of everything. He's gonna fall as well. A triple kill for Azure. Big part to note. Patron was not a part of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Patron over there. I think he was, looking.
Or are they just going for the end? I think they're just going to go for the end. They go into the Titan room. Spades is the only one left. He doesn't have the Dharmic Pillars. Oh, but Patron is here as well. The Through the Cosmos does good damage, but it's not going to be enough. And the Legion, they are going to fall. The first loss for the Legion comes to the Mighty Horns, and now that first place spot comes into question.
Yeah, I mean, just the Mighty Horns there, able to prevail. I mean, able to get to that late game, like I had said, able to keep up in gold and just XP in general throughout the entire game. Excellent show. Skill is as a team. Legion coming in there though, showing that they're not a team that can never be pushed around. Still taking it to a game 3, and for the most part, until that late game hit, I think they were mainly in control of the situation.
Damage. 31k on Bracking, 29k on Rodrigo, 24k on Azure, 25k, almost 26k on Jaeger. Those were the big difference makers. And you look at the side of the Legion, they did pretty decent damage numbers as well. 24, 22, 28. I hate to say it, I hate to point a single person out, but Sir Patron, in Game 1, he was lackluster and the Legion lost. Game 2, he played incredibly well and the Legion won. Game 3, he really didn't do much. He didn't do nearly as much as we saw in game number 2, I'm sorry. And I hate to say it, but the Legion, it really seems like we were typing them up to be a Dragons type team. They might be more of a Bolts team, looking at how this set played out because they need their jungler to step up, otherwise they just can't do much around the map.
Ooh, tough shots there to hear.
I made a disclaimer that I didn't want to point any single person out. I'm just calling it as I see it. It seems like Sir Patron is really the make or breaker for this team.
Yeah, I think even the Dragons have some off games. It just depends on everything going through the day. Legion came out here, they played their heart out. I think they did the best what they could. Just it was Mighty Horns able to just show that Gold Despair able to keep up with.
Yeah, it's really hard to come back from that, but this was still a fantastic set. Both teams played incredibly well. I mean, if they didn't, we wouldn't be going to a Game 3. We wouldn't be talking this long about this set. This was a fun set to cast, to watch. I'm sure it's a fun cast to play. Heartbreaking if you're the Legion, but still, nonetheless, I'm incredible. I think this was an incredible set, and I'm super excited to see how this set play or how this season plays out, because I definitely think that we could be seeing both these teams again in the finals.
Yes, I do agree. Demonstrated tonight, definitely the top two teams in the division, able to showcase why tonight as well. Curious to see how these two teams go and going into the playoffs, and if Legion will bounce back from this first loss this season, if the Mighty Horns will keep trucking along.
I've done a lot of talking about the Legion. The Mighty Horns, though. Azur and Bracking. What the heck? Rodrigo played fantastic as well as Jaeger. And then, of course, the unsung hero, my MVP, Buckwheat. Fantastic play. Like, I don't think he had more than 2 kills. I think he had a total of... What was it? I think he had a total of like 15, 16 deaths between the 3 games. And he played phenomenal. Like, I think that if the Mighty Horns have any other support, or if Buckwheat has any other performance, I don't think they win this set. Buckwheat really stepped up when they needed him.
Definitely agree. Buckwheat out here, we saw game 1. He was pulling some what's his name? Some Neomos stuff. Sacrificing himself, making sure his team was able to get this farm or do things, just making things happen while also setting up just all these assists. We see this game as well, another 15. I can't remember if it was game 1 or game 2, but I think he had somewhere along the lines of like 25.
Yeah, this is just a fantastic performance from Buckwheat. Fantastic performance from the entire Mighty Horns team. When they were on, you could really tell they were on. You could tell that they had a lot of team synergy, and even despite their falters, they really came to play. But that's going to be it for this set, and that's going to be it for tonight. This set was incredible. I am completely out of energy after casting this. I know Uchi is as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It really is an honor. Don't just be sure to tune in tomorrow when we have some more sets casted. I was your host, Raptor. Joining me is the always lovely Uchi. 2-1 in favor of the Mighty Horns over the Legion. And we will catch you all next time.
Have a good night, everybody.
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding we get